The morning in Konoha was sunny. The streets instantly came to life, filled with many different people, from children to old people and adults. A blonde, blue-eyed boy was walking along one of the streets. He looked like he was 5 years old, and on each cheek there were 3 thin stripes that resembled fox whiskers. He walked with his head down and his hands in his pants pockets, as if he was thinking about something. The people surrounding the boy threw sideways and angry glances in his direction, and other children simply avoided him. Having reached the very edge of the street, the blonde came to a fork in the road with 3 roads. The central road led forward, and the other 2 led to the right and left. The boy thought for a moment and went forward. Having reached the very end of the road, the blonde came to the gate, near which, as always, 2 ninja of the Chunin rank were on duty. Their names were Izumo and Katetsu. Katetsu always wore a bandage on his nose, and what he hid there was a big mystery to the boy, but the blonde never dared to approach and ask for fear that he would simply be driven away like some kind of mad yard dog. Almost everyone in the village treated the boy like that, and he himself did not know why. After looking towards the gate for a few more minutes, the boy moved towards his old house, which was located a few blocks from the gate. Arriving home, the blonde lay down on the bed without undressing and began to mindlessly stare at the ceiling. Continuing to think about something, the boy did not notice how he fell asleep. The boy had a strange dream, the content of which was as follows. The blonde woke up in some kind of gloomy narrow corridor that went nowhere. In appearance, it looked like a sewer, since there was water on the floor, and many pipes were located above. The boy went straight, after which he turned left into one of the many passages. He walked along the same narrow corridor, after which he came out to a large hall, wide and high, in which there was a giant metal grate. On the grate, in the center, there was something like a seal. The boy approached this grate and began to peer into the darkness behind it. Suddenly, 2 large, scary, inhuman eyes with red irises and vertical pupils appeared. This seriously frightened the blonde and he recoiled from the cage. The creature that was hiding in that darkness stretched a terrible smile to the ears, revealing sharp teeth. It began to gradually approach the boy. The blonde was about to run, but turning around, he saw a strange old man. His skin was pale, his hair was pointed and hung down to his shoulders, had a pale brown color. On his pronounced chin was a long goatee beard, which hung down to the level of his stomach. The old man's eyes were unusual. They were completely purple and had a pattern reminiscent of ripples on water. What was also unusual about his appearance was his completely white kimono, which was decorated with black tomo, a necklace made of tomo, 2 horns protruding from his forehead, and a red circular symbol with 2 wavy patterns in the center of the same forehead. The old man walked up to the boy and said, "Wake up, Naruto." The blonde woke up suddenly. What was that just now? The boy asked himself. Wiping away the sweat, Naruto, that's the boy's name, got out of bed. Looking out the window, the blonde noticed that the sun was already high and apparently it was already noon. How long have I been sleeping? He asked himself again. Suddenly his stomach rumbled. I should go to Ichiraku, I'm hungry. Naruto dug through his pockets and found a coupon for a free meal. Damn, the last one left, but the allowance won't come for 3 days. Naruto thought with annoyance. Although, considering that I haven't eaten anything since morning, and my stomach is just eating away from hunger, it wouldn't be a sin to use it. Okay, I'll go now, no matter what. Naruto left the house and then went to the only food store that didn't chase him away. It was a small store that only made ramen noodles. The owner of this place, Tsuki, and his daughter, Ayame, always treated Naruto well and didn't look at him askance, unlike the rest of the people in the village. Hey, Naruto, how are you? Tsuki asked the boy, as always friendly. It's okay, Uncle Tsuki. Naruto said, putting on a fake smile. As usual for you? Asked Tsuki, already knowing why Naruto came. Yes, Naruto answered affirmatively. Several servings of ramen please. And so, in a few minutes, 3 delicious fresh portions of ramen were on the table. The boy ate it all in one gulp, after which, thanking Tsuki for the food, he went for a walk around Konoha. He walked like this until the evening and was already returning home, but on the way he accidentally ran into a group of clearly tipsy shinobi. Naruto wanted to go around them, but suddenly one of these shinobi grabbed the boy. So, where are we going? The drunk shinobi asked in an enraged voice. I'm going home, Naruto answered, stuttering from the fear that had overwhelmed him. Home? Are you sure you'll get there today, damn demon? The shinobi said, still furious, squeezing the boy's throat. Give me souls, souls of the damn murderer! Shouted one of the drunken company. Suddenly, the drunk shinobi lifted Naruto by the throat and casually threw him to the ground. All the shinobi approached the boy and began to trample and kick him. One of the shinobi exclaimed, "This is for my family, you damn murderer. Die, creature. Die, demon fox." Naruto began to lose consciousness. When he completely lost it, he woke up again in the same place where his daytime sleep was interrupted. He woke up right in front of the same cage. Big scary eyes looked out of it again and were filled with hatred. "Naruto," the creature behind the cage said in a terrifying, rough voice. "Who or why you?" Naruto asked, shaking and stuttering in fear. "Are you afraid of me, haha?" The creature asked. "That's right, Naruto, be afraid. Fear me, the nine-tailed demon. You, Nine Tails. But, why you died during the pogrom 5 years ago?" Naruto noted, still stuttering. "No, I was sealed inside you," the fox yelled, showing his red muzzle from the shadows. The boy trembled even more and almost lost consciousness again. "Enough, Kurama," a voice was heard from behind. Naruto turned around and saw the same strange pale old man with a red circular symbol with 2 wavy patterns in the center of his forehead. "Father!" Nine Tails exclaimed in surprise. "Kurama, stop scaring the boy unnecessarily. He's already having a hard time in the real world and you're just adding fuel to the fire." The fox remained silent in response, lowering his head. "That's it," the old man grumbled with a frown, then turned to Naruto. "Forgive my creation, I let it go too far." Naruto remained silent. "You must have many questions. Are you dreaming? Who are we? What is going on here?" The old man noted. "I will answer them all, but only after you are ready for it. Right now, I will help you get out of that unpleasant situation in the real world." Suddenly, Naruto's vision went dark. They were filled with hellish, unbearable pain. Naruto screamed, but after a while he fell silent, after which he finally lost consciousness. The boy woke up again, but his body seemed not to belong to him. The boy no longer felt the blows of his legs, and his arms, as if by someone's will, rose up and then jerked sharply in different directions. Then something happened that surprised Naruto the most. All the shinobi who had been standing and trampling him with their feet flew away in all directions at a decent distance from him. His eyes automatically closed. Naruto woke up in the hospital. He was lying on a bed all bandaged. There were even bandages over his eyes. Naruto stood up and, to attract the attention of the doctors, screamed, "Help! I'm blind." "What's the panic?" A kind female voice was heard. It was the nurse who was standing near Naruto's room at the time. She removed the boy's blindfolds and bandages. "Oh, sorry," Naruto said, scratching the back of his head awkwardly. And you recovered quickly." The nurse noticed and, smiling, patted the boy on the head. "Yesterday you were admitted with serious injuries, and today there is not a single scratch. I think it's time to discharge you." "Who brought me here?" Naruto asked. "Well," the nurse thought, "I don't know his name, but he wore the Uchiha clan crest on his back. He looked about 15 to 16 years old." Okay, thank you." Naruto thanked the nurse. "When can I go?" "You can get dressed right now. Come to me for your discharge." The nurse answered. "By the way, about that man, he asked me to tell you to come to the Hokage's residence at 2 o'clock today." "Why?" Naruto asked. "I don't know. He just asked me to give this to you, and what he had in mind is none of my business." The nurse answered. And your eyes are unusual." Naruto looked questioningly at the nurse, and she silently took the mirror and gave it to the boy in response to his silent question. In the mirror, Naruto noticed that he had the same eyes as the pale old man in his visions. They were the same purple color with patterns resembling ripples on water. The only difference was that each eye had 6 tomo, which together formed 2 small inverted triangles in both eye sockets. Naruto was seriously surprised and scared at the same time. Having put the mirror away, the boy saw that there was no one in the room except him. The nurse had long since left, leaving him in his thoughts. Naruto got out of bed and put the mirror on it. The boy got dressed and left the room. Having walked down the corridor and down the stairs to the first floor, Naruto came to the exit of the hospital, and near the exit was a nurse. Taking the discharge papers from her, Naruto left the building and headed home, just in case putting on the contact lenses he had asked one of the doctors to hide his new unusual eyes, which would attract unnecessary attention, which he was already getting from the locals. Arriving home, the boy took off the lenses and sat down on the floor in the lotus position. He tried to call up that vision with the old man and the fox Kurama again, but nothing worked. He sat like that for several hours, but there was still no vision. Then he sat for several more hours, but there was still no vision. Damn, Naruto muttered to himself, and what am I supposed to do with these eyes now? Suddenly Naruto remembered the nurse's words about a man from the Uchiha clan asking him to come to the Hokage's residence at 2 o'clock today. Naruto assumed that the man might know something about what happened to him. With these thoughts, Naruto looked at his watch. It was already almost 2 o'clock. Naruto stood up and left the house in an instant. He quickly headed towards the residence, putting on his lenses as he went. Arriving at the Hokage's residence, Naruto noticed the man. It was a young man with black eyes and pronounced eyelashes. His hair was black, which was typical for members of the Uchiha clan. It was short and disheveled. The Uchiha himself was dressed entirely in black, and behind his back was a short tanto katana. The young man smiled affably and waved his hand at Naruto. The boy slowly approached the Uchiha. Your name is Naruto, right? The brunette started the dialogue first. Yes, Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. The blonde answered uncertainly. Don't be afraid of me. I don't bite, said Uchiha, smiling. My name is Shisui and, as you've probably already guessed, I'm from the Uchiha clan. Come with me to a more or less quiet place. Naruto silently followed the Uchiha. Arriving at a small lake on the outskirts of Konoha, Shisui and Naruto finally stopped. So, you probably have questions for me. Yes, Naruto said, taking off his lenses. Do you know what's wrong with my eyes? Yes, Shisui answered affirmatively. You have awakened a very powerful dujutsu, if not the most powerful. So what is this? Don't keep me waiting, Uncle Shisui. Naruto said impatiently. This is the Rinnegan. These eyes were once worn by the first shinobi Rakudo Sennin and few have managed to awaken this dujutsu. Rinnegan. Naruto was surprised. I thought those eyes were a myth. Not anymore, Shisui said affirmatively. Now that you have awakened these eyes, you need someone who can teach you how to control them. Perhaps I can teach you that. But how can you teach me how to use them? I will teach you how to control them, but you must learn to use them yourself. Then where do we start? Naruto asked in anticipation. First you have to learn to control your chakra. You know what chakra is, right? It's like some kind of spiritual energy inside every person. Yes, that's right, said Shisui. By feeding chakra into the eyes, you can activate dojutsu. For example, Shisui activated his Uchiha clan's special dojutsu called the Sharingan. It is a completely red iris with 3 black tomo around the black pupil. You must learn to supply chakra to any point of the body. This will teach you to control the Rinnegan and activate it at any time at your own will. Cool, Naruto exclaimed. Then let's start right now. Why do you think I brought you here? Shisui asked rhetorically. Let's start with the basics. Thus Naruto and Shisui trained until the evening. By the end of the day Naruto had learned to walk on water and climb a tree without hands, using only his legs. You're doing well, Naruto. Shisui praised the boy. You learned to control chakra in one day and now you can supply it to any part of your body. Try deactivating the Rinnegan. Naruto concentrated chakra in his eyes, after which he suddenly stopped supplying it and the dojutsu disappeared, returning the shape of his previous blue eyes. So how is it? Did I succeed? Asked Naruto. Yes. The Rinnegan is completely gone. Uchiha confirmed. Now you just have to learn how to use it. It, like the skills I gave you, will help you more than once in the future. And now, I think it's time for you to go home and... Shisui looked around suspiciously. And, try not to use this dojutsu in front of people. Many will start hunting for your eyes, because their power is truly enormous. As you say, Uncle Shisui. Naruto said, after which, thanking the Uchiha, he ran home. Naruto, you can't even imagine how huge this power is, Shisui said in his thoughts. Naruto came home all tired. Having landed on the bed, he barely took off his clothes, after which he finally went to bed. This time the vision visited him again. The boy woke up again in front of the same cage, in front of the same terrible bloody eyes of the 9 tails. Here we meet again, Naruto. The old man's voice was heard from behind. Naruto stood up and turned around. I think he's ready, father. The fox said in the same rough voice. The old man nodded in response to the 9-tailed fox. It's time for you to know the truth, Naruto. He addressed the blonde. What truth? The boy asked. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Hagoromo Otsutsuki. I am from the ancient divine Otsutsuki clan. In your world, I am known as the Rakudo Sennin. You, the boy said in a shocked tone. That same Rakudo Sennin, the first ninja and the founder of the shinobi world. Yes, Hagoromo answered affirmatively. Naruto went into shock and stood there like a pillar for a few minutes. You're a living legend, Naruto said admiringly. Well, the old man hesitated. The word, alive, doesn't quite fit my current state. I'm, so to speak, a ghost that has settled in your body. I left this world a long time ago. Then why are you here? Hagoromo looked at the fox sullenly. I had to go back. For what? For you, Naruto. You are the reincarnation of my son Ashura. I am here to guide and train you so that you can fulfill the prophecy. What other prophecy? I'll tell you about it later. You're not ready for it now. Not ready, but you and Fox just claimed the opposite. Firstly, the fox's name is Kurama. Secondly, you are ready to hear the truth, but not for what lies ahead. Naruto sighed heavily. So what truth are you talking about? About the truth that those around you hid from you for these long 5 years of your life. Sit down somewhere. My story will be long and will take a lot of time. Commentary on prologue. If you liked it, please don't leave the review fields empty, if it's not too much trouble. Chapter 1 Revelations. So the fourth Hokage is my father. Yes, confirmed Hagoromo, but why did he seal the fox into me, into his son? He hoped that you could harness Kurama's power and perhaps become friends with him. Father believed in you. But at the same time he ruined my life, which hadn't even really begun. All these long years I was despised, chased away from everywhere, beaten. I didn't even know my parents, and when I asked about them, everyone just kept silent, or gave me another sideways, contemptuous look. Hell, I didn't even know why they treated me like that. As far as I know, your father loved you and didn't want such a life for you, but circumstances forced him to take such a step. Although he was your father, he was first and foremost the Hokage. He made you a Jinchuriki to save Konoha and its inhabitants. And left me alone, Naruto retorted, wiping away the tears that were welling up. But, I understand what you're talking about and I need to think about it. However, one question torments me. Why didn't the third Hokage tell me anything? Why was he silent? The thing is that soon after the pogrom, at a general meeting of elders in Junin, a special law was passed, according to which no one had the right to tell you about your parents and what power was sealed in you. Ask me why they did this. They were simply afraid that Kurama would break out and cause another pogrom, if not destroy all of Konoha. They wanted to isolate you from society. I've just been living in lies and hatred all this time, Naruto said, feeling depressed. I understand how much it hurts you, but it's better if you find out everything now than later. You need to get over it and decide for yourself what you're going to do next. I need to be alone and think everything over, Naruto said. Then I won't keep you here any longer. We'll talk when you're ready. If you want to raise this village to the ground, all you need to do is remove the seal of the fourth. The awakened fox said at the end, smiling maliciously. Naruto's eyes darkened again. The blonde woke up in his bed again. Getting up from it, Naruto went to the window and, concentrating chakra in his legs, climbed up the wall to the roof. It was still very dark outside, as it was only 5 o'clock at night. A cool breeze blew, which enveloped the blonde's entire body and for a moment it even seemed pleasant to him. So he sat for a long time, admiring the view of Konoha at night and thinking about everything the sage of the six paths had said. They all lied to me. The blonde thought to himself. They lied without thinking. They turned my life into hell, winding themselves up that I was that damn fox. As if it was my fault that he caused the devastation. As if it was me who took the lives of their relatives. Maybe I should accept Kurama's offer and destroy this village to the ground. Naruto frowned and his eyes filled with hatred. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes changed. The pupils took a vertical shape like Kurama's, and the irises became bloodshot and red. Suddenly, at that very moment, someone grabbed Naruto by the shoulder. The blonde instinctively grabbed the unknown person's hand and, without knowing how, threw the man over himself and slammed him into the ground, grabbing him by the throat in midair. Who are you? Naruto asked angrily. Hey, kid, calm down. It's me, Shisui, said the Uchiha, trying to free his throat from the blonde's grip. Uncle Shisui, Naruto asked, finally calming down. Why the hell are you sneaking up on people like that? I won't be able to answer you if you strangle me, Shisui said with difficulty, gasping for breath. Naruto loosened his grip and removed his hand from the Uchiha's throat. Sorry, Uncle Shisui, I'm just in a bad mood, Naruto said absent-mindedly. Well, I see. Even your eyes have become like those of an enraged beast, said Shisui, noticing the blonde's changed pupils. What happened and why aren't you sleeping? Naruto walked away from the Uchiha a few meters and turned his back to him. I don't really want to talk about what happened. Why can't I sleep? I just don't want to. Well, you can tell me anything. I'll always listen to you, Shisui said, smiling. Do you know who my parents are? Naruto asked an unexpected question. Shisui hesitated. Shisui said, thinking about what to answer next. You know, Naruto interrupted him, but you don't want to talk because of the law personally passed by the third Hokage. Where are you from? How should I know? Naruto interrupted him again. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I've been living a lie this whole time. I've been living thinking that my parents abandoned me or that I never had any. I've been living with only one question: why? Why does everyone hate me so much? And all of this, because of a lie made up by the elders of this damned village. Tears began to roll from Naruto's eyes again, and his entire body began to be enveloped by an unknown, strange red chakra. Shisui's hand reached for Tanto's katana on its own, but the Uchiha quickly pulled it back and began to slowly move towards Naruto. The blonde turned around. Now, not only his eyes had changed. Fangs had grown in his mouth. The blonde's previously disheveled hair stood on end. His fingernails had turned into real claws. Don't come near me, Naruto yelled as if his voice wasn't his own. The red chakra around him began to rage, but Shisui continued to slowly walk towards Naruto, maintaining an unperturbed appearance. Don't come near, Naruto said a little more calmly, continuing to shed tears. Shisui was already standing right in front of Naruto. The blonde turned his head to the side. The Uchiha sat down and hugged the boy. Red chakra burned his hands, but Shisui didn't pay attention to it. His will was strong. Naruto, look at me, Shisui said, looking the blonde straight into his demonic eyes. Everyone thinks I'm a monster, they call me demon, Naruto said in a quiet voice. The tears flowed even more intensely, and a tail of chakra appeared from behind. No, Shisui said confidently, you are not a demon, and you are not a monster. You are a good boy, Naruto. But the people of this village don't think so. The blonde retorted, I'm nobody to them. Maybe, but you are better than all of them. You have a pure and kind heart, which already significantly distinguishes you from a monster. You are more humane than many in this village. Uchiha encouraged the blonde, smiling. I see it clearly and someday everyone will see it. Do you hear? The red chakra around Naruto began to weaken until it disappeared completely. The red eyes with vertical pupils disappeared and took the form of normal human blue eyes. The hair returned to its previous disheveled appearance. The fangs in his mouth simply disappeared, and the claws on his hands transformed into normal nails. Naruto abruptly hugged Shisui back and wiped away his tears. Well then, that's different, Uchiha said happily. Let's go to Ichiraku. Naruto's stomach suddenly growled and the boy nodded his head. Yes, the blonde said quietly, smiling slightly. A few minutes later, Shisui and Naruto were sitting at Ichiraku's, eating fresh portions of ramen. Naruto couldn't get enough of one portion, so Shisui ordered 5 bowls of noodles from Tsuki at once. Naruto became cheerful again, forgetting about everything that had just happened. Shisui's hands were wrapped in bandages. The fresh burns from the red chakra were painful, but like the rooftop, the Uchiha still didn't pay attention to it. And yet, how did you find out? Shisui asked the boy when Tsuki and Ayame left for a while. Naruto's face changed from cheerful to sad. He hesitated, thinking about what to answer. If I tell you, you won't believe me, Naruto finally said. You try it. Well, basically, Naruto began. Not only the 9 tails settled in my body, but also. Then Naruto fell silent. Who? Grab onto something so you don't fall off the chair, Naruto said, finishing the broth from the bowl. A whole sage of the 6 paths has taken up residence in my body. And indeed, Shisui almost fell out of his chair from what he heard. The sage of the 6 paths? Rakudo Sennin, the god of shinobi? Uchiha asked in surprise. Uzumaki nodded confidently in response. And really, I wouldn't have believed it if it weren't for your Rinnegan. So, it was the sage who told you about everything? Naruto nodded silently as before. The sage of 6 paths left this world centuries ago, but returned. Naruto began to explain. Basically, he told me that I was the reincarnation of his son Ashura, which makes me something like a chosen one, for a certain prophecy, about which, alas, the sage told practically nothing, arguing that I was not ready for it yet. Well, he's partly right. You don't really look like the chosen one. Why is that? Naruto asked, indignant. Firstly, you're still too young. Secondly, you haven't mastered your Rinnegan yet to have the right to call yourself the chosen one. And thirdly, your body itself is still too weak. You can't withstand even the weakest blows. Then I will train hard and gain recognition. Yours, the sage of the 6 paths and everyone in this village. Naruto said with confidence in his voice. Shisui smiled and patted the blonde on the head. I have already acknowledged you. Uchiha said confidently. You have a great future ahead of you. You will surprise this village more than once. I know it. Thank you, Uncle Shisui. Naruto said, smiling. Suddenly, Shisui's eyes changed. Not the Sharingan, but the Rinnegan appeared in both of his eye sockets, which surprised the blonde. Shisui began to form seals, after which he shouted, Dispel. Naruto found himself back near Kurama's cage. A few meters away from Naruto, the Sage of Six Paths was floating in the lotus position on some flying spheres that formed a circle beneath him. Naruto looked at Hagoromo questioningly. What was that just now? Naruto asked. I put you in my genjutsu. You saw the illusion, answered the Sage of Six Paths. But, when? I didn't even notice it. Naruto said, not understanding. I did it right after you started convincing yourself that your father had abandoned you and that you were left alone. By trapping you in an illusion I had specially created, I wanted to show you that despite everything, you still have people who are ready to support you. You are not alone at all. But, if it was an illusion, then it turns out. Naruto wanted to say something, but the sage interrupted him. No, what you saw is not a simple illusion. It is also a vision of a possible future. Thus, the events on the roof and in Ichiraku could have happened later, but they will not happen because of my intervention. Plus, someone is watching you from the window right now. Who? And you guess, said the newly awakened Kurama, again stretching out a sly smile, revealing his sharp teeth. Really, Uncle Shisui? Yes, Hagoromo confirmed, but he's not watching you because someone told him to. He promised someone that he'd keep an eye on you. To whom? Uzumaki asked. You'll see for yourself, soon. The sage said mysteriously. Naruto just snorted in response, making a displeased face. So, Naruto Uzumaki, Hagoromo began. I'll repeat my question again. What will you do now that you've learned the whole truth? Naruto thought for a moment. I will not back down from my previous words. I will train and become the strongest shinobi in Konoha. I will achieve recognition and become a worthy son of my father. Naruto said confidently, holding out his palm, curled into a fist. This is my way of shinobi. Hagoromo finally smiled. These are the words I expected from you. The Sage of Six Paths said proudly. Then I, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, Rakudo Sennin, the first shinobi, will help you on your path. I will train you and pass on all my knowledge and experience. Really? Naruto asked in anticipation. It depends only on your desire, Naruto-kun. Do you want this? Hagoromo asked. Yes, Naruto said affirmatively. Then let's begin, Hagoromo said with a barely noticeable smile. Everything seems to be calm. Thought to himself a shinobi in a gray vest, worn over a black t-shirt with short sleeves and a wide collar. On the shinobi's face was a mask similar to the face of a cat. He's asleep and the power of the nine tails, thank God, is not manifesting. The old man did not deceive me after all. He keeps this beast under control. The shinobi took off his mask and showed his face. This shinobi turned out to be Shisui. A memory flashed before his eyes, which was very clearly imprinted in his memory and it is unlikely that he will ever forget it. That evening, Uchiha had just returned from a mission and was heading to the Hokage's residence to report on the mission. Then Shisui saw a crowd of drunks beating up some blonde boy. Shisui recognized him as Naruto, after which he wanted to intervene, but then all the drunk shinobi flew in different directions. One of them flew straight at Shisui, but Uchiha, thanks to his increased speed, managed to step aside using the body flicker technique. The drunk flew past him and crashed into the nearest wall. Shisui ran up to Naruto to check on Naruto's condition. Touching his body, Shisui discovered that several ribs were broken, and his left arm was simply broken. Luckily, the boy was still alive and urgently needed to be taken to the hospital. Shisui was about to do this, but then Naruto grabbed his hand with his only hand, squeezing it tightly. Shisui tried to free himself, but Naruto, despite his age, had a very strong grip, which did not allow Shisui to do what he had planned. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes opened. In place of blue eyes were two Rinnegan, which both shocked and amazed the Uchiha. He read a lot, studied the history of many clans and their origins and accidentally came across the story of Rakudo Sennin, god and founder of the shinobi world. According to legend, it was he who possessed the eyes that Naruto now had. Until this moment, Shisui did not believe that these eyes existed, but now, before his eyes, the fairy tale ceased to be so. Shisui Uchiha, Naruto said his name, as if it wasn't his own voice. And that's true. The voice really wasn't his. We need to talk. For a moment this frightened the young shinobi, but he suppressed this feeling within himself and decided to start a dialogue. I won't talk to someone I don't know, Shisui said, realizing that he was talking to anyone but Naruto. Introduce yourself first. I am Hagoromo of the ancient Otsutsuki clan. In this world, I am known as the Rakudo Sennin. Stop. Shisui interrupted him. So you're saying that you're a dead shinobi god? Call me whatever you want. Everything I said is true. You should have realized it from my eyes. You recognize this Jujutsu, right? Yes. It's the Rinnegan, Shisui answered. But, would it really have been able to serve as proof that you were the one, if it hadn't happened a couple of minutes ago? I guess I'll believe you, but I have one question. What? Ask faster. My time is running out. I can't control this body for long. How did you end up in Naruto and why him? That's what I wanted to talk about. Listen. So the dialogue between Shisui and Hagoromo continued for some time. Hagoromo told Shisui everything he needed to know. He told him that Naruto was the reincarnation of his son Ashura and that this boy was destined to save the world, but how, in what way and from what, the sage remained silent. This boy is more important than I thought, Shisui said. Yes, he needs to be saved and that's why I chose you to watch over Naruto and protect him. I will train the boy and at the same time restrain the 9 tails inside him. So the 9 tails is no longer dangerous. It is dangerous, but as long as I am in Naruto's body, I will not let the demon escape. Hagoromo answered. You just need to protect Naruto and not let him die. Good, especially since I already promised someone that I would look after this kid, Shisui said with a smile. Excellent, Hagoromo said. This means that I no longer need to convince you. Now I can regain control of Naruto's body and go deep into his subconscious, but before that, I want to ask you for something else, Shisui-kun. What else? Asked Uchiha. Teach him chakra control. It is very important for further training, said the sage. Okay, I'll train him. Good, Hagoromo said before closing his eyes and letting go of Shisui's hand. The Uchiha carefully picked Naruto up and dragged him to the hospital. Shisui lifted the eyelid of one of his eyes and saw that Tomo had started to appear on the Rinnegan, which surprised the Uchiha even more. How strong is he now? The brunette asked himself then. Now after everything that happened and after getting to know Naruto better, Shisui felt some kind of affection for the boy. He will become a great shinobi, Uchiha thought to himself with a smile, after which, using the body flicker technique, he instantly disappeared from the roof and headed towards the Hokage residence, near which the Uchiha quarter stood. On the way, Shisui accidentally heard someone's familiar voice. Shisui immediately stopped and headed towards the source of the voice in order to make sure that he was not imagining it. Following the voice, Shisui came out to the hot springs. An old man with very long needle-like hair ran out of the building screaming. They were so long and big that this old man could easily be confused with a hedgehog, but only a very large hedgehog. 2 red lines extended from the old man's eyes, which went down and ended near the chin. He was dressed in a light green kimono, and in his hands he held a large red scroll. He ran like crazy for some unknown reason. Suddenly, a crowd of men with cold weapons ran out of the hot springs. Fucking pervert. Damn old lecher. They shouted. Shisui decided to intervene. Using the body flicker technique again and putting on his mask first, the Uchiha appeared right next to the fleeing old man. Shisui stopped him with one hand. The crowd was already rushing straight at them, but upon seeing Shisui, they stopped at once. So, guys, what's going on here? Shisui asked. This pervert broke into our baths and started spying on naked women, said one of the men. Well, what business is it of yours? Asked Shisui. A matter of honor, said the same man. What other matter of honor? Shisui grumbled. He grabbed my Izumi by the cans. The same man yelled. Shisui blushed and barely kept himself from laughing out loud at the whole situation. A smile was already forming on his face, but it was not visible under the mask. So, Shisui said, holding back his laughter. Hee hee, anyway, hee hee, people, hee hee, let's go our separate ways. Are you okay? Someone from the crowd asked. Yeah, it's okay. Shisui said, still suppressing his laughter. That old man is under Anbu arrest and won't bother you anymore, hee hee, won't bother you anymore, hee hee. The men finally calmed down and began to put their bladed weapons back into their sheaths. Thank you, sir. I hope you beat the crap out of this pervert, someone from the crowd said again. You don't have to worry, Shisui said, after which he finally gave in to his laughter, since he was no longer able to hold it back. He's laughing at us. Beat them, Azumi's boyfriend yelled, after which the whole crowd pulled out their katanas and swords again and rushed towards the old man and Shisui. The Uchiha, having grabbed the old man and using the body flicker technique, quickly disappeared and appeared right next to the Uchiha clan's quarter. Ha 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 ha. Shisui finally blurted out. The old man started laughing along with him. They were laughing so loudly that they had already woken up half of the entire Uchiha clan. Even the head of this clan, Fugaku Uchiha, woke up along with his wife. Fugaku looked out the window. Seeing these, in his opinion, clowns, Uchiha angrily threw the window open. Hey, both of you. Fugaku yelled. Get out of here, or I'll beat you up so badly your own mother won't recognize you. Shisui and Hedgehog seemed not to hear him. And that's true. They were both laughing so loudly that they heard nothing but themselves. No matter how much Fugaku screamed, no matter what threats he sent their way, Shisui and the old man still did not hear. After some time, Fugaku's patience finally snapped, and his nerves were at their limit. Anger simply took over his entire body and the Uchiha jumped right out of the window, after which he used the same body flicker technique as Shisui and found himself right above these two, again in Fugaku's opinion, deaf-mute idiots. He immediately began to fold the seals and began to pronounce, snake, sheep, monkey, pig, horse, tiger. Fire release. Great fireball technique. A huge stream of fire flew straight at the heads of Shisui and Hedgehog. Shisui, who had stopped laughing by this point, once again used the body flicker technique, grabbed the old man and carried him away from the scene of such a deadly and dangerous technique. So, what are you idiots doing on my clan's territory and how dare you come here and laugh under our windows? Fugaku asked through his teeth, barely holding back his anger, which he was now overwhelmed with. Shisui took off his mask. Old acquaintances, Shisui said, finally stopping laughing. Shisui. Fugaku was surprised. I expected this from any other Anbu, but not from you, a genius and the pride of the clan. Fugaku looked angrily at Shisui and was about to use the great fireball technique on him again, but he held back. Fugaku, calm down. The old man finally spoke. Who the hell are you to address the clan leader by name? Fugaku said, looking at the hedgehog. As Shisui-kun said, an old acquaintance. The old man said cheerfully, smiling. Don't you recognize an old friend? Fugaku, having moderated his ardor, finally looked at the old man soberly. No, that can't be, said Fugaku, recognizing the hedgehog. Jiraiya. No, damn it, I'm a toad from Mount Myoboku. Ha 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 ha, the old man laughed. Coming here, you old pervert. Fugaku said, walking up to Jiraiya, giving him a manly hug and patting him on the back. It's been a while since you've been here, old friend. What brings you here? I came to visit my former student. Jiraiya said, pointing at Shisui. But, he found me himself. It looks like you've gotten yourself into something again. Fugaku said, frowning slightly. You could say that, said Shisui. After telling Fugaku the reason why they were laughing so much, Fugaku himself let loose with laughter. Ha ha, you're like. He, always, in your repertoire. Ha 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 ha. The head of the clan said through laughter. So the three of them laughed until dawn. Commentary on Chapter 1 of Revelation. I spent a lot of time on this chapter, so I hope that my efforts were not in vain and that it didn't turn out to be a mess that makes you want to puke. If everything is good, then, as I already wrote in the previous chapter, don't leave the feedback field empty. And if everything is bad, then, feel free to write a negative review about what an idiot the author is. P.S. About the moment with Jiraiya. I know that in canon he was never Shisui's teacher, but for the sake of the story itself I had to break the canon a little. You'll see later why I did it. Chapter 2 Man and Demon. Naruto, focus, Hagoromo said, frowning. Well, Hagoromo-san, why do I need to know the history of shinobi? Why aren't we going to practice techniques? At this age, it's too early for you to learn techniques, and every shinobi needs to know the origins of all ninjutsu. Moreover, what I'm telling you now, no teacher at the academy, which you'll only go to in 2 years, will tell you. Naruto just snorted in response. Hagoromo sighed heavily. In general, if you remember at least something from what I tell you, then I will teach you one attack technique. Naruto's eyes lit up and his ears perked up. That's right, Hagoromo said, smiling. Since you've already listened to half of it, let's start from the very beginning. Seriously, Naruto said, frowning. You don't want to learn your first technique. Hagoromo countered. Naruto muttered something under his breath, but then looked closely at the teacher. Great, Hagoromo said. So, let's start with the fact that initially there was no chakra in this world. It appeared in this world only after the creation of Ninshu. Ninshu is the progenitor of what is now called ninjutsu. This belief implied the unification of all people with the help of chakra. Chakra was supposed to rid this world of military conflicts, but did something go wrong? Naruto asked. Exactly. Ninshu split, thanks to my sons Indra and Ashura. What did they do? More precisely, what did I do? Said Hagoromo. The thing is, on my deathbed, I chose Ashura as my successor. Indra, feeling betrayed, rebelled against his brother and a war began, which split Ninshu forever. People later turned Ninshu into what is now called ninjutsu. What was supposed to unite people began to separate them. People began to use chakra to kill each other and thus a circle of hatred was formed, which eventually enveloped the entire world. Wars and cruelty appeared. But is it possible to somehow break this circle of hatred? Naruto asked with interest. Good question, Hagoromo noted with a smile. Remember, hatred cannot be defeated by hatred. What do you mean? Naruto asked, confused. If people hate you and you hate them back, then together you generate even more hatred, thus maintaining this eternal hellish circle. Naruto thought. So I should forgive all those who beat me and called me demon. If you yourself do not want to fall into darkness completely, then yes. Answered the sage of 6 paths. Naruto thought about it and made a slightly sad face. I don't know what to say. These people have dragged me through the mud for my entire short life. By responding to hatred with hatred, you generate even more hatred, maintaining this circle. Hagoromo said. Naruto looked at the floor thoughtfully. Look at everything from a different angle. The sage said to the student. Although they hate you, this hatred did not appear out of thin air. And what do you mean by that? Naruto asked, frowning. Hatred is always born from people's fear, and fear, said the old man. Fear always blinds. It has clouded the eyes of the people around you. They are afraid of the fact that Kurama can break out of you at any moment and cause chaos again. They are completely enslaved by fear. So if I prove that there is no need to fear me, then the residents of Konoha will change their attitude towards me. The blonde suggested. Yes, confirmed the sage of the 6 paths. Free them from fear and their hatred will disappear. Now I know exactly what I need to do. Thank you, teacher. Naruto thanked the sage. Since you got something out of my story, then I will fulfill my promise and teach you one technique. Naruto visibly perked up. Finally, Uzumaki said happily. And what did you do? Fugaku asked his guest, with whom he had been talking for several hours already. I hit him right in the face with the Rasengan. Jiraiya finished his story. Wow, you, sensei, as always, are looking for trouble for your own head. Commented Shisui, who at that time was cleaning his short katana, practically not paying attention to anything. Hey, they're probably finding me, Jiraiya said, grinning. You haven't changed a bit since you left the village, the young Uchiha noted. You're still the same irresponsible pervert. It's a little offensive, but I'd rather keep quiet, said the old man, turning red as a tomato with anger. Come on, Jiraiya, he's not saying this to offend you, said Fugaku. After all, if you weren't like this, you wouldn't be you. The hermit sighed heavily. I know, said the old man. By the way, why did I come anyway? Could you lend me Shisui for a couple of days? I would like to teach him something else. What? Fugaku asked. You'll see when we get back. Really? Said the head of the clan, clearly guessing the hedgehog's intentions. Jiraiya nodded. He's ready, said the old hermit. And did they agree? I already spoke with them and they gave the go-ahead. Are you sure he'll succeed at all? Fugaku asked worriedly. I've been teaching Shisui since the pogrom and I know him better than anyone. He can do it. Fugaku and Jiraiya looked at the young Uchiha thoughtfully, while Shisui stared at them with an uncomprehending look. In that case, all responsibility is on you. If Shisui comes back as a toad-like freak, then I will personally bury you alive. Fugaku threatened, slamming his fist on the table. Don't worry, Fugaku, I'll return the young genius safe and sound. Jiraiya said confidently with a smile. Well, look, I warned you, Fugaku said at the end. Jiraiya nodded silently. Shisui, the hermit addressed the young Uchiha. Let's go. Shisui heard the entire conversation between the teacher and the clan head, so he followed Jiraiya without asking any questions. Having finally left the Uchiha quarter and reached the gate, Shisui and Jiraiya stopped. So, Jiraiya began the dialogue. I think you heard what the clan leader and I talked about. Yes, you finally decided to take me to Mount Myoboku. Shisui guessed. Exactly. You're already strong enough for this. Ready. Wait, sensei. Shisui interrupted Jiraiya. I need to talk to you about something. About what? Jiraiya asked. Oh Naruto. Shisui replied. Jiraiya's expression changed. His look changed from cheerful to more serious. Tell me about Myoboku. Let's go, said Jiraiya. He began to fold the seals. Dog, pig, bird, monkey, sheep. Summoning technique, said the hermit. The old man bit his finger and drew blood on the ground, after which a circle of hieroglyphs formed, which then instantly disappeared, and in its place appeared a humanoid toad in a black cloak and with purple hair. Her lips were smeared with purple lipstick, and the pupils of her eyes were rectangular. Jiraiya, why did you summon me? Asked the toad. Shima, I want to take this young man to Mount Myoboku. Can you take us there? Asked the hermit. I can, but, does Fukasaku know about this? Did you ask his permission? Yes, Shima, I agreed on everything with him and he agreed. In that case, Shima said, and without finishing she began to form seals. Pig, dog, bird, monkey, sheep. Reverse summoning technique, she said, and all three evaporated in a puff of smoke. Naruto, you are great. I didn't think that you would master this technique so quickly. The satisfied voice of the Sage of Six Paths was heard from the depths of the subconscious. The blonde himself stood in the real world, catching his breath. During training in using his first learned technique, he spent too much chakra and now he needed rest. However, Naruto was not going to rest, as he wanted to bring the use of the technique to perfection. Naruto, you shouldn't exhaust yourself like that. Hagoromo's voice was heard in his head again. I have to get stronger, Naruto said breathlessly. You're only ruining yourself and your body. Plus, you have almost no chakra left. Do I really have such a small reserve? I am from the Uzumaki clan. According to my mother's genes, I should have inherited her reserves. Naruto said, perplexed. You have just the right amount. Hagoromo said, you've just been too busy training. It's been almost the whole day, you know. It's evening already, Naruto asked in surprise, clutching his face. Indeed, it was already evening and the sun was gradually beginning to set. Ha ha, good morning, sunshine. Kurama's mocking voice was heard. You trained too long and, accordingly, you spent almost all of your huge reserves, the sage stated the fact. If that's the case, then we need to somehow increase the reserve so that we can train without breaks in the future, Naruto said. Then you need to do physical training. The stronger your body becomes, the more chakra reserves you will have. Hagoromo advised the boy. Okay, Naruto said, after which he began to do push-ups. I didn't tell you to start right now. The Sage of Six Paths was indignant. Better now than later. Naruto quoted the sage word for word. He's as stubborn as his mother. He'll go far. Hagoromo thought to himself, pleased with his student's zeal. I'll try to do at least 100 push-ups, Naruto interrupted his thoughts. Hagoromo smiled deep in his subconscious. Don't try. Do it, said Otsutsuki. So Naruto trained until 1 o'clock in the morning. Finally, the blonde was exhausted. You have completely exhausted your chakra. You urgently need rest, said the sage. But sensei, Naruto wanted to object. No, buts. Hagoromo interrupted him. At best, you risk completely exhausting your body and ending up in the hospital again. At worst, you can lose your chakra forever and with it, the ability to use techniques. In that case, you will have to forget about the path of the shinobi forever. Okay. Naruto reluctantly agreed and sat down in the lotus position. The blonde began to meditate, gradually restoring his chakra. This process took a very long time and Naruto meditated until 3 o'clock in the morning. RRRRRRR. Kurama growled from the depths of his consciousness. Naruto, be careful. Someone is approaching you at high speed. Enemy? Naruto asked worriedly, standing up and taking a fighting stance. I don't know, Kurama answered. Maybe so. Just in case, get ready. Okay then, Naruto said, taking an old rusty kunai out of his bag. By the way, where's the teacher? Why isn't he saying anything? Father is restoring his chakra. Where did she go? Your chakra became so low that father gave you his for the duration of your training. It's a pity. I could use his advice now. Don't worry, my little fox, your daddy will protect you. Kurama said mockingly, taunting the blonde. Naruto didn't say anything in response, but only snorted. They're getting close, Kurama warned. I know, I can already hear footsteps approaching, Naruto said, preparing his kunai. The boy's heart was beating like crazy at that moment. Come on, come out. I'm all yours. Imagine Naruto's surprise when a pink-haired girl ran out from behind the trees. She looked to be the same age as Naruto. She quickly ran behind the blonde and grabbed the blonde. Help me, she said, trembling with fear. What happened? Who are you? Naruto asked. The pink-haired girl didn't answer, but continued to tremble and pointed towards the forest she had just run out of. Someone else is approaching us. About 5 people. I can feel their anger. Kurama warned again. The fox was right. 5 people ran out of the forest. Naruto recognized them as the same shinobi who had beaten him up the other day. They were, just like then, dead drunk. It's that damn demon. One of the shinobi yelled. That girl is in cahoots with him. Beat them. A crowd of drunk shinobi ran towards Naruto and the pink-haired girl. I'll use this technique and they'll be finished. Naruto thought to himself, already starting to accumulate chakra. No, Naruto, Kurama said, I see what you are going to do and I do not advise you to use this technique now. You have only restored half of your reserves and you will not have enough. Do you have a better plan? Naruto asked, panicking. Yes, Kurama said with a serious tone. Give me control of your body. What? No. Do you want to end up in hospital again? No. Then you have no choice. Give me control. Naruto took a breath and snapped out of his panic. The blonde poured chakra into his eyes and activated his Rinnegan. There is always a way out. Naruto objected. The boy stretched his arms forward. He jerked them in different directions and all the shinobi scattered in all directions. It worked, Naruto said happily. These damn eyes. Kurama thought angrily to himself. I'd rip them out by the roots if I had my way. The fox slammed his paw down on the floor in anger. Meanwhile, in the real world. Thank you for saving me. The pink-haired Naruto thanked. You're welcome, Naruto said calmly, standing with his back to the girl. He didn't want anyone to see his eyes. Naruto abruptly stopped the chakra supply to his eyes and deactivated his dujutsu. He wasn't worried about those shinobi, since it was already pitch dark outside, and they looked too drunk to make out anything. They recognized him only because of his distinctive yellow hair. How did you do it? The pink-haired girl asked with interest. This question put Naruto on edge, but the blonde decided not to tell her anything. You don't need to know that, Naruto said, still coolly. The only thing that matters is that you're saved now and can go home in peace. There was silence. What's your name then? The girl persisted. Naruto decided to answer this question. My real name is Naruto Uzumaki, but the locals call me Demon, so go home and stay away from me from now on. Naruto said coldly and headed towards the village. The pink-haired girl followed him. What do you want? I told you to go home. Naruto asked, turning towards the persistent girl. I'm scared to go alone. Maybe you can walk me, the girl asked with hope in her eyes. Please. Naruto sighed heavily. Okay. Naruto reluctantly agreed. Let's go. Naruto and the pink-haired girl headed towards the village together. By the way, my name is Sakura. The girl introduced herself to the blonde, but he seemed not to pay attention to her. So their further journey passed in complete silence. Here they already approached the village. Naruto wanted to leave Sakura and go home, but the girl stopped him, grabbing his hand. Thank you again, Naruto. She said, already looking away from him. You're welcome, the blonde said, smiling slightly. Naruto tried to leave again, but Sakura held his hand tightly. Wait, she said, why do they call you demon? It doesn't matter. Just stay away from me. The blonde said and pulled his hand out of Sakura's hands, then headed home. Having gone a decent distance from the girl, Naruto heard the fox's laughter inside his mind. What's so funny? Naruto asked, displeased. What was that just now? Is this how you pick her up at 5 years old? Kurama asked a counter question. Naruto blushed a little. No, he said in a serious tone. I just don't need friends now. They'll only distract me from training. You certainly have the right attitude, but in my opinion, you were too rude to that girl. Look who's talking. You destroyed half the village and killed my parents, so shut up. I was under the control of the man in the mask and you know it. I know. Kurama sighed. You won't get recognition by treating people like that. How do you know this? You seem to have become so engrossed in your training that you have forgotten the words of your teacher. By responding to hatred with hatred, you will generate even more hatred. Kurama quoted the words of the sage of the 6 paths. People always treat you the same way as you treat them. If you turn away from people, they will turn away from you. If you reach out to them, they will reach out to you. That's true, Naruto said, stopping and clutching his head. I'm a complete idiot. Not all is lost, Naruto. You just need to find her and apologize. Then I'll apologize right now, Naruto said. Wait, cowboy, Kurama said, grinning. She's already gone. Where are you from? Naruto wanted to ask a question, but he didn't have time to finish it. I'm a sensor and I can feel people's emotions. Kurama interrupted the blonde. Now your passion is almost at home, but. What? But? Kurama asked worriedly. 4 people surrounded her. It looks like they are those drunks from the forest. Have they woken up already? I don't know. These are just my guesses. Then we must run to her aid immediately. Naruto said. Run. I'll show you the direction. Kurama said. Naruto quickly moved from his place and ran towards Sakura following Kurama's instructions. When he finally found her, she was pinned to the wall by some big guy, and there were 3 more people standing near this big guy. Naruto wanted to activate Rinnegan, but the fox stopped him. Naruto, don't. These people are clearly not drunk, and the streetlights are illuminating the street. No one should see your Rinnegan. Naruto panicked. Naruto, give me control. No, you'll go out and cause chaos again. I can't let that happen. Naruto, trust me, Kurama urged him. I really want to break out of your body, but right now I just want to help you. Let me do it for once. I said that there is always a choice, but apparently not in this case. Naruto thought to himself, catching his breath again and coming out of panic. Okay, Fox, go for it. Naruto's eyes changed to Kurama's eyes with red irises and vertical pupils. This is the only thing that changed in the blonde's appearance. Kurama, having taken control of Naruto's body, headed towards the sinister 4. Hey, you freaks. Kurama attracted their attention. Aren't you ashamed to hurt little girls? The bull looked at the fox with an angry gaze. Did you say something, brat? The brute holding Sakura asked angrily. I asked, why are you offending my friend? We just want to have fun. She has such beautiful skin, said one of the 4. So you are our local maniacs here? Kurama guessed. Not exactly locals. One of this strange bunch blurted out. The bull hit this man on the head. Idiot, he said. Aha, so you are either Nukenin. Kurama guessed. In that case, I won't hold back. Ha ha ha, and what are you going to do to us, you greenhorn? The bull laughed. The whole company of these perverts laughed after him. You'll see, said Kurama, smiling sarcastically. Let's dance, girls. The bully released Sakura, who quickly lost consciousness due to lack of oxygen. All 4 of them prepared their weapons. Kurama's attention was especially drawn to the bully's sword. The big guy pulled out a huge sword from behind his back, similar to a butcher's knife. Kurama recognized this sword. This sword is an exact copy of the Kubikiribocho sword, if not the original. This sword belonged to one of the 7 swordsmen of the village hidden in the fog. The bully himself was half naked, and on his face was a half mask made of bandages, and on his forehead was a headband of the village of mist, which indicated that the person standing in front of Kurama was perhaps just one of the 7 swordsmen of the fog. This fact already made him a rather dangerous opponent. The rest of the gang was also not deprived of appearance. 2 of them were like twin brothers. They also wore fog headbands. Their weapons were in the form of 2 metal gloves with claws. Also in this company was a skinny guy in a mist Anbu mask. He was dressed in a kimono with a thin strip, and on top of that was a green haori with white trim. All this was encircled by a long belt, folded twice around the guy's waist. Even though he looked the weakest of this sinister 4, but underestimating the enemy is more expensive. Kurama covered his body with red chakra to avoid damage. The fight began. The brothers attacked Kurama first. They released a chain from their gloves, consisting of shuriken, and tried to tie Kurama up with it, in order to then cut his body in half with this deadly lasso. The fox, concentrating his chakra in his legs, jumped high, after which he disappeared into the air and ended up right behind the brothers. Kurama, thanks to his strength, knocked these 2 out with one blow. Ha, it's rotten, Ninetail chuckled in his thoughts. Next, the fox faced a more difficult fight, as he was attacked by that puny guy in a kimono. Fortunately, Kurama managed to activate one tail when he knocked out the brothers. This increased the fox's strength and durability. The guy in the kimono suddenly disappeared while running and appeared behind the fox. He wanted to plunge a Senbon needle into Kurama's neck, but this was his mistake. Not taking into account the fox's ability to sense and underestimating his opponent, the guy exposed himself to a blow that Kurama dealt him instantly. Fortunately for him, the blow hit his mask, which instantly flew apart as soon as Kurama touched it. The bully from Kubikiribocho wanted to join the fight, but the guy, whose face was clearly more beautiful than the faces of many Konoha girls, motioned for him not to interfere, after which he looked straight into Kurama's demonic eyes. Who are you? Where did such strength come from in a child? Read the expression on the guy's face, who could hardly be called a guy. Kurama only smiled sarcastically in response. The guy began to quickly fold the seals, after which many ice mirrors formed around Kurama, one of which was the reflection of this effeminate warrior. Suddenly, his image appeared in all the mirrors. Thousands of ice and bonds flew at Kurama from all sides. Because of the cover and the second tail that had just formed, these needles did not cause the slightest harm to Kurama. Using his sensory abilities, Kurama instantly found the mirror in which his opponent was hiding. Ignoring the sanbons that flew at him from all sides and dug into his body, Kurama reached the mirror and, putting all his chakra into his fist, smashed it. All the mirrors surrounding the fox broke after the main one. Now his opponent lay defeated on the ground. Kurama began to catch his breath. The fox heard clapping behind him. Kurama turned around and saw that it was the big guy standing there clapping for him, as if giving him applause for a good performance. Well, so small and so strong. The bull praised him. Small but mighty, said Kurama with a sly smile. To tell the truth, I'm impressed. No one before you has managed to escape from Haku's demonic mirrors. Alive, said the Nukenin, emphasizing the last word. Haku, is that your boyfriend's name? Yes, my name. I will introduce myself to such a worthy opponent, is Zabuza Momochi. I am, as you have already guessed, the missing nin of the mist and the former swordsman of the mist. I don't care who you are. You're either going to die or go to prison, where all the renegade shinobi are. Kurama said, taking the needles out of Naruto's body. I would gladly fight you, but I have to go now. I was here on the orders of an influential person. Did they put a reward on this girl? No, she just happened to be there. We wanted to shut her up, but she kept screaming, so I had to knock her out. What kind of order? Ha ha, if you were an ordinary little brat, I would have cut you down with a sword instead of an answer. But you are not an ordinary child and have earned my respect by going through my guise, so I will satisfy your curiosity. We came to kill a shinobi named Shisui Uchiha, but as it turned out, he is not in the village now. Then you beat up my guys and now I can say with confidence that I failed my mission and will no longer receive money for the work. So I was confusing your cards. Kurama said contentedly. Not exactly, but partly so. Now I have to leave Konoha and look for other orders. And I knew from the very beginning that going on this mission was suicide. I heard that Uchiha has a very strong and sophisticated Sharingan and can put someone in Genjutsu. I also heard that he is incredibly fast. His speed is compared to the fourth Raikage and the yellow lightning of Konoha. I would have been able to withstand such an enemy only with the help of Haku, but now he is in no condition to fight. Now you won't be able to fight either. Kurama said, preparing to attack. Wait, kid, let's make a deal. I give you my sword and information about who hired us, and in exchange you will only let me and Haku go. A tempting offer, said Kurama, but where is the guarantee that you and your little brat will never step over the threshold of Konoha again? None, but I'll try not to appear in front of you anymore. If so, then we have an agreement. Give the information, take your pretty boy and get out. Kurama accepted Zabuza's offer. One name, 2 words. Zabuza said, placing Haku on his shoulders. Danzo Shimura. Momochi and Haku disappeared in a puff of smoke and in their place was a note that read, I hope that we will meet again and we will be able to fight, kid. P.S. Sorry for cheating with the sword, but I still need it myself. Our agreement was almost fair. I give you information and will never set foot in Konoha again, and you let us go. PSS by the way, in exchange for my sword, you can take the claws of Gozu and Maizu. That's the name of those 2.5 masks that you took out with one blow. I'm sure they won't be of any use to those gloves now if you decide to finish them off or send them to prison. What a lying bastard, Kurame thought to himself, grinning. Well, hold on, Momochi. Next time I won't let you go so easily. Kurama chuckled again and returned control of his body to the blonde. Commentary on Chapter 2 Man and Demon. Phew, this chapter turned out longer than I expected, but I hope it's worth it. Please don't leave the review field empty, so that I have incentive to write more chapters. I need your support. Chapter 3 Yin and Yang. So, Naruto, do you trust me now? The Nine Tails asked the blonde. Not yet. I'm not ready to trust you completely yet. Naruto answered, examining Sakura for signs of serious injuries. Fortunately, the pink-haired girl didn't have any serious injuries and seemed to be completely healthy. The fox snorted. Then don't bother me anymore. Kurama said calmly, after which he fell asleep and snored so loudly that his snores could be heard even outside the subconscious. Hey, the blonde grinned, then looked at Sakura again. We should somehow wake her up, but first, we should cover up the traces of the recent massacre. Naruto took out 2 small red scrolls and, unrolling them, placed both on the ground in front of Gozu and Maizu, who were lying unconscious in sync. Before doing what he had planned, Naruto, just in case, took off their metal gloves with claws and placed both near the scrolls. Naruto began to make seals. Tiger, rat, dog, pig, bird. Scroll sealing technique, Naruto said, after which the weapon that was lying near the scrolls turned into a puff of white smoke and flew into one of the scrolls, sealing itself in it. Naruto used the same technique on Gozu and Maizu and they both also sealed themselves in the remaining empty scroll. It's good that I managed to talk my old teacher into this technique. It came in handy. Of course, I could have just used my second attack technique that the same teacher taught me and just killed these two. However, they'll be more useful alive than their corpses, thought the blonde. Naruto wrapped both scrolls and hid them in his bag where he took them out earlier, then looked at Sakura. Now we can try to bring her to her senses. Naruto took some cold water from a nearby pond and splashed it right in Sakura's face. This crude method was very effective, as Sakura woke up instantly. However, this method had a dark side. Naruto experienced it himself when Sakura, with fury in her eyes, pounced on him and hit him on the head so hard that now his head will hurt like hell for several weeks. Sakura recognized Naruto, finally waking up completely. No, shit, I'm the ghost of the fourth Hokage. Naruto said. He was lying on the ground with a huge black eye and a small bump on his head. Sakura, confused, helped Naruto up. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Sakura justified herself. It's nothing, Naruto said, scratching his newly formed bump. To tell the truth, I even deserved it. In the future, I'll know not to anger you, otherwise you'll accidentally kill me next time. Next time, you, as I recall, recently told me that I should stay away from you. Someone set me straight, Naruto said, then quoted Kurama's words. If you push people away, they'll push you away. If you reach out to them, they'll reach out to you. Sakura was a little surprised by these words, and Naruto smiled. By the way, where are those people who attacked me? Sakura asked. I remember that just now I was being held by some big guy in a half mask made of bandages. And there were 3 more standing around him. They almost killed me. I didn't see anyone. Uzumaki lied. You must have dreamed it. No, the pink-haired girl said with confidence. I was standing right here, pressed against this very wall of this very building, near which we are now standing. I could not have dreamed this. Just a coincidence. Naruto continued to lie. It can't be a coincidence. Sakura insisted. Whoever these people are, they clearly didn't just infiltrate this village. We need to tell the Hokage or one of the Anbu about this. Sakura wanted to go without delay, but Naruto grabbed her hand. Don't tell anyone anything, Naruto said in a serious tone. If there are spies in our village, then the top of Kana should know about it. Sakura continued to be stubborn. They are no longer in our village. You haven't seen them. How would you know? Asked Sakura. Naruto was silent, his head lowered somewhere to the floor. You were lying, Sakura noted. You don't know how to do this, Naruto. Right, I guess I need to work on that too. Naruto thought to himself, then answered Sakura. If I tell you the whole truth, you won't believe me. I'm listening, Sakura said coldly. Naruto entered his subconscious. Before his eyes appeared the sleeping fox, who snored so loudly that the walls in the room itself were crumbling and there were light earthquakes, and Sensei Hagoromo, who, as always, was hovering above his spheres and meditating. Naruto decided not to disturb the sage of the 6 paths and decided to wake up the fox. Kurama, Naruto addressed the 9 tails. The fox's eye lifted, but then abruptly closed. HRRRPFFF, HRRRPFFF, HRRRPFFF. Fox could be heard snoring. Kurama, Naruto said angrily. HRRRPFFF, 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 HRRRPFFF. The fox's snores were heard again, intensified with new force. Well, to hell with you. Naruto grumbled, after which he came out of his subconscious. Coming out of his subconscious, Naruto was faced with Sakura's angry gaze. Well, she said, already preparing to hit him again. Naruto sighed heavily. In general, how can I say? Naruto squeezed out of himself, thinking about how to continue telling the story. Tell it like it is. I drove them away. Sakura made a puzzled face. That is. I told it like it is. I drove them away. Indeed, it's hard to believe. Sakura agreed. If so, how did you do it? Naruto thought. Since he wouldn't be able to show Kurama's power in all its glory due to the latter's resentment, Naruto decided to show Sakura his attack technique, which he learned during his recent training with the teacher. To do this, Naruto concentrated all his chakra in his hand, clenched his palm into a fist, and around this fist, the chakra transformed into lightning. Naruto hit the ground with his electric fist and broke through the concrete with a roar. Sakura was simply stunned. How do you know this technique? She asked, maintaining a surprised look. And why didn't you make seals to perform it? This technique is one of those that do not require the folding of seals. To use it successfully, it is enough to have good control over chakra and possess the ability to change its nature. I just mastered this technique in that forest and now I have a good opportunity to try it out. Who taught you this? You don't need to know that anymore. Naruto said, I've already told you too much. So, in that case, you've saved me twice already this night. Sakura said, blushing a little. Well, that's what friends are for. Naruto said, holding out his hand to her. But you've only known me for a few hours. Sakura noted. We still have a lot of time to get to know each other better. I want to apologize for my previous words and rude treatment. Sakura smiled. Apology accepted, she said and took his hand. I'd love to get to know you better, Naruto Uzumaki. Suddenly Naruto fell. Sakura ran up to the blonde in fear and found that he had completely passed out. Looks like he spent too much of his chakra. That training in the forest, his battles with the drunken Chunin and those bandits, all of that completely drained him. I'll take him with me. Sakura thought, after which she somehow lifted Naruto and threw his arm over herself, after which she dragged the blonde in a direction known only to her. Shisui-kun, you are making great progress. In one day you have mastered what took Jiraiya himself weeks. The old toad elder Fukasaku praised Shisui. He was as short as Shima, but with very large and thick gray eyebrows. His hairstyle resembled a mohawk and had the same gray shade as his eyebrows. A small gray goatee extended from his chin. Fukasaku himself was dressed in a cloak that covered his entire body and reached the floor, leaving barely visible toad paws. The toad elder held some kind of pole in his left hand, with which he beat Shisui in every possible way during training. The training itself took place in 2 stages. First, Shisui learned to absorb natural energy using special toad oil, which Shisui periodically smeared himself with, she said and took his hand. I'd love to get to know you better, Naruto Uzumaki. Suddenly Naruto fell. Sakura ran up to the blonde in fear and found that he had completely passed out. Looks like he spent too much of his chakra. That training in the forest, his battles with the drunken Chunin and those bandits, all of that completely drained him. I'll take him with me. Sakura thought, after which she somehow lifted Naruto and threw his arm over herself, after which she dragged the blonde in a direction known only to her. Shisui-kun, you are making great progress. In one day you have mastered what took Jiraiya himself weeks. The old toad elder Fukasaku praised Shisui. He was as short as Shima, but with very large and thick gray eyebrows. His hairstyle resembled a mohawk and had the same gray shade as his eyebrows. A small gray goatee extended from his chin. Fukasaku himself was dressed in a cloak that covered his entire body and reached the floor, leaving barely visible toad paws. The toad elder held some kind of pole in his left hand, with which he beat Shisui in every possible way during training. The training itself took place in 2 stages. First, Shisui learned to absorb natural energy using special toad oil, which Shisui periodically smeared himself with during the first stage. Thanks to this oil, Shisui almost turned into a toad, but Fukasaku hit Shisui on the back with his staff, knocking out all the natural energy from his body and returning the young Uchiha to a normal human state. And so it continued until Shisui harnessed the power of natural energy. Next was the second stage, in which the Uchiha had to lift a huge toad statue. At first, Shisui tried to lift it with his own chakra, feeding it to his hands and feet, but all he could do was just lift it. Then, using the power of natural energy, Shisui finally managed to lift it with both hands. Now there was the final third stage. Shisui stood covered in bruises and abrasions. These 2 stages were hard for him, but he was not going to retreat now. What is the third stage, Fukasaku-sama? The Uchiha asked. The third stage is more difficult than the previous ones, Fukasaku warned. The thing is, you have to climb one of those peaks and learn to balance. The toad elder picked up one of the large wooden planks. For that, you must use this, Fukasaku said, pointing to the board. I will show you, Shisui-kun, what to do. Watch me carefully. Fukasaku climbed the mountain, placed a board on the very top and began to balance on it, sitting in the lotus position. Shisui watched all this carefully. Suddenly, Fukasaku stood up. Shisui-kun, he shouted so that Uchiha could hear him. Now climb one of these peaks yourself and do everything as I showed. Shisui climbed to the top, grabbing one of the boards. Fukasaku helped fix it on the thin top and grabbing Shisui with his long tongue, the Toad Elder put Shisui on this very board. Don't be afraid of anything. If you fall, I'll catch you. Fukasaku said. Shisui began to meditate on the top, trying to maintain his balance. At first, Shisui fell, but Fukasaku caught him with his long tongue and returned him to the top. Several hours passed like this and finally Shisui was able to maintain his balance. He meditated on the top of the mountain until evening, maintaining perfect balance. When Shisui finished, red circular marks appeared near his eyes, from which two thick lines extended, reaching his throat. The pupils took the shape of a rectangle. The Uchiha felt great strength in himself and jumped off the mountain, landing on the ground with a crash. At the foot of the mountain, he was met by Fukasaku and Jiraiya, who looked at the young Uchiha with pride. Well, my student, how do you like your new power? Asked the hermit with a smile. I feel like I'm capable of anything now, Uchiha said. Natural chakra allows me to sense the chakra of every inhabitant of this mountain. And apparently, thanks to it, my strength and combat effectiveness of techniques have increased many times over. These are the benefits of the hermit regime, Fukasaku said. Hermit mode, Shisui asked. Go to the water and look at your reflection, said Jiraiya. Shisui did so. Imagine his surprise when he saw his changed eyes. Is there any way to return the eyes to their human form? Asked Shisui. When the natural chakra runs out, you will automatically exit the hermit mode and your eyes will return to normal. Fukasaku replied. I think it's time for you to test your new power in battle, Jiraiya said, activating his hermit mode. With great pleasure, Shisui said, smiling sarcastically. First, the teacher and student clashed in taijutsu, where no one was inferior to each other. Then Shisui and Jiraiya jumped a decent distance away from each other and began to fold seals. Sheep, horse, snake, dragon, rat, bull, tiger. Fire release. Dragon flame technique. Jiraiya said and a huge stream of fire, reinforced with natural energy, burst out of his mouth. Snake, sheep, monkey, pig, horse, tiger. Fire release. Great fireball technique. Shisui said and a huge fireball burst out of his mouth, which was stronger in volume than Fugaku's, thanks to the same natural energy. The two techniques collided with each other and then dissipated. The teacher and student clashed in taijutsu again, but this time using cold weapons. Jiraiya used a kunai imbued with chakra, and Shisui used his favorite short katana, which he also enhanced with chakra. During the fight, Shisui used the body flicker technique and appeared behind Jiraiya. At that moment, Shisui directed half of his chakra into one of his hands, then released it and concentrated it into a blue rotating sphere. Rasengan, Shisui said and hit his teacher in the back with a blue sphere. Jiraiya flew away from Shisui several meters and fell to the ground. Getting up, Jiraiya wiped the sweat that had come up. Ha! Decided to use my own technique against me. Clever, but, Jiraiya also began to form a blue sphere, strengthening it with natural chakra. This is not enough. Ultra big ball Rasengan, he said and hit Shisui with a super big Rasengan. The technique dissipated and in its place was a huge hole, in which there was no trace of Shisui. The Uchiha used the body flicker technique at the moment of impact and again appeared behind Jiraiya, putting Tanto to his neck. I won, sensei, Uchiha said sarcastically. You think so? Jiraiya's voice was heard from behind. The hermit who was in front of Shisui dissolved in a puff of smoke, and a kunai was placed to the Uchiha's neck. I think you are deeply mistaken. I think you're deeply mistaken, Shisui said, holding Tanto to Jiraiya's throat again. The Uchiha Jiraiya had grabbed also disappeared in a puff of smoke. Well done, Shisui. Jiraiya praised him. I think it's time to finish. Shisui put away his short katana and was about to head towards Fukasaku, when he received a Rasengan in the stomach from Jiraiya and flew a decent distance away from Jiraiya. Looks like I won after all, Jiraiya said sarcastically. That was mean, sensei. Shisui said, indignant. The Uchiha smiled for a moment. It's good that I foresaw that. Shisui dissolved into a puff of smoke once again and appeared above Jiraiya, before slamming him into the ground with an ultra-large ball Rasengan. And yet, Shisui said, out of breath. I won. Jiraiya smiled. If it weren't for the hermit mode, there would be nothing left of me after such a blow. This is one of its advantages, in addition to strengthening techniques and physical strength. You are still a good guy, Shisui. Uchiha helped the teacher stand up. That was a good fight, said the hermit, shaking Shisui's hand. Let's go. It's time for you to learn something else. What? Asked Shisui. Toad style of fighting. This style becomes available to you after mastering the Sage mode. You already mastered this mode and you have shown it now. Maybe later. I'm a little tired today. Especially since Fukasaku-san beat me up, my whole body hurts. Okay. Jiraiya agreed, exiting the hermit mode. Rest until tomorrow, and in the morning we will begin training. By the way, have you forgotten what I wanted to talk to you about? Yes, I remember. You wanted to tell me something about Naruto. What happened? Listen, Shisui said, starting his story. The Uchiha told about everything that happened. He told Jiraiya about Naruto's Rinnegan and the Sage of the Six Paths. Shisui also told about Naruto being despised by everyone and the blonde often facing beatings from the villagers. Everything he heard shocked the hermit. He stood there for a long time, his eyes wide and saying nothing. In that case, Jiraiya said, finally recovering from the shock. Naruto is in even more danger than we thought. If someone finds out about this, God, I don't even want to think about it. I'm going back to the village. Shisui stopped him. Teacher, don't. I need you here now, and Naruto. Naruto is under the reliable protection of the Sage of the Six Paths and the Nine-Tailed Fox. But don't worry, I'll master the Toad style tomorrow and return to the village in no time. I'll leave Anbu and protect the boy with my life. And besides, 5 years ago, I made an oath to his father that I would protect him and I intend to keep it at all costs. Jiraiya calmed down a little, after which he forced out a slight smile. You are your father's son. I think he would be proud of the man you have become. Jiraiya said at the end, placing his hand on Shisui's shoulder, and then disappeared in a puff of smoke. Shisui smiled slightly, but Jiraiya's mention of his father darkened the atmosphere. Unpleasant memories that Shisui seemed to have buried deep inside now clouded his eyes. All the pain that he had long since suppressed burst out with renewed vigor. Images of the Third Shinobi World War appeared before Shisui. He was about 7 years old then. He was still a child when, in one of the fierce battles, his father was stabbed to death by the Kiri Shinobi right before his eyes. His father was practically everything to Shisui and then, one day, Shisui lost him, the last person dear to him. His last words were, son, always remember, a true shinobi is one who protects his village while remaining in the shadows. Remember this. Shisui remembered these words for the rest of his life. It was probably on his father's advice that Shisui joined the Anbu. It was also on that day that Shisui awakened his Sharingan with 3 Tomo due to a strong emotional outburst caused by the murder of his father. After the war, Shisui took Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, under his wing and became his sensei, later replacing his father. Shisui still remembered his wife with a smile and horror. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She was very dangerous for both enemies and friends. She was even called Bloody Habanera, because of her tough temper. She could flare up at any moment and beat anyone so badly that her own mother would not recognize her. Shisui is still surprised how Minato managed to fall in love with such a bombshell. Although she was very pretty, Shisui remembered her as a very attractive girl, whose character, although cool, but at some moments she was very soft and gentle. She always treated Shisui like a son and always smiled, although in moments of her anger, he and Minato had to get away far away, so as not to get in the way. When Kushina became pregnant, Minato and Shisui ran around her like crazy with happiness. Then, during Kushina's pregnancy, Minato, although he was Hokage, still pushed all his affairs into the background and was constantly next to his wife. Shisui helped them, and then, that night came when Shisui's whole world collapsed again. At this difficult time, Kushina's pregnancy was coming to an end and the birth took place in a strictly classified place. She was guarded by 2 Anbu, as well as 11-year-old Shisui, who was already a genin by that time and had already fully mastered his Sharingan. Minato arrived at the very last moment and began to deliver the baby. Shisui himself was afraid at that moment, since Kushina was the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails and during childbirth there was a risk that the fox could be released due to the weakening of the restraining seal. Fortunately, Naruto was born quite quickly and here. Minato held in his arms a small baby with blonde hair and whisker marks on his cheeks, because of which the boy resembled a small fox. It is possible that these marks appeared because of the 9-tailed fox, as Shisui himself suggested at that moment, carefully observing everything that was happening. Minato and Kushina were immensely happy about the appearance of their little son. Minato gave Naruto to Shisui to hold and it was at that moment that a certain connection was formed between the two, seemingly not related people. Shisui always wanted to have a younger brother and so the higher powers sent him into this world. Naruto, the baby, as if by instinct, stretched his fragile hands to the Uchiha, and Minato and Kushina at that moment looked at these two with affection. They stood for a long time, studying each other with their eyes. KHKH. Minato brought them out of this state. Shisui gave Naruto to his father. Naruto. Minato said lovingly. It's me, your dad. Da. Naruto said in an unintelligible voice. Everyone present was surprised. He had just come into the world and already said his first words. Sensei. Shisui interrupted them. Your wife's seal has weakened. It needs to be restored immediately. That's right. Minato agreed. Now I can completely and permanently seal the Kyuubi. Minato placed Naruto next to Kushina and was about to restore the seal, but then an unknown masked man appeared, eliminated 2 Anbu and captured Naruto. It is this man who will be responsible for the upcoming events. Both of you, get away from the Jinchuriki or this kid will get really sick. Said the unknown, holding a kunai to Naruto's throat. One cut in his life, which hasn't even really begun, will end in an instant. Bastard! Kushina screamed. Minato prepared the Thunder God kunai to use his signature Flying Thunder God technique, which would allow him to instantly approach the masked man and save his son, but Shisui got there first with his body flicker technique. Facing the unknown man, Shisui briefly saw the glowing Sharingan through the single circular eye hole in the spiral-shaped mask, surprising the Uchiha. Shisui snatched Naruto from the mysterious masked Uchiha's hands and carried him back to Minato. However, it came as a revelation to Shisui and Minato when it was revealed that the swaddling clothes had explosive tags attached to them, which immediately ignited when Naruto was in the 4th Hokage's hands. Shisui and Minato quickly removed the swaddling clothes and threw them towards the masked man, and the fight began. The 3 of them engaged in taijutsu. Then, after an hour, they switched to using techniques, where neither was inferior to the other in skill, however. When Shisui pierced the unknown with his short katana, it did not kill him at all. It was as if Shisui was stabbing the air with tanto, not a person. During the fight, the 9 tails suddenly appeared, which began to destroy everything around. Minato looked questioningly at Shisui, and the Uchiha only nodded his head in response. Minato disappeared, as if he had never been there. Shisui was left alone with the masked man. The Uchiha activated his Sharingan and again clashed with the unknown in taijutsu. Who are you and where did you get the Sharingan? Shisui asked angrily. So you noticed. Commendable, said the unknown, continuing to strike. I will satisfy your curiosity and tell you that we are from the same clan. If you're an Uchiha, then why are you doing this? Why would you attack Konoha, release the 9 tails, and attack your own clansmen? You cannot understand my goals. The mysterious Uchiha answered calmly. So that's how it is. In any case, I'll stop you. Well, try it. Both opponents began to form seals. Snake, sheep, monkey, pig, horse, tiger. Fire release. Great fireball technique. They both shouted, and a huge stream of flames enveloped the roofs of the houses they were fighting on. You're pretty strong for a genin. The masked man noted. I could use someone like you. Maybe we can work together. I don't work with traitors. Shisui said, looking at the masked man with hatred. Think about it carefully. Thanks to me, you can become stronger than you are now. I will give you such power that you have never dreamed of. No one will give it to you in this village, and your talents will be wasted. Shisui just looked at him coldly. Apparently that means no. Well, that's a pity. In that case, I'll have to kill you, because you could become a huge threat and hindrance to my path in the future. Suddenly, wooden roots appeared from under the roofs and entangled Shisui. What is this? This is my improved wood element genome. I can control the power of nature. The unknown Uchiha answered. And since you know this now, this is another reason to kill you. Goodbye, kid. The unknown person raised his kunai, preparing to pierce Shisui with it, but suddenly stopped. Although, I'd rather leave you alive so you can experience pain, said the masked man. Look there. The unknown person pointed at the 9 tails and Minato fighting it. I will kill your teacher and destroy Konoha in one fell swoop. I will destroy everything that is dear to you. After these words, the masked man turned towards Shisui. You would like it, but you will lose, Shisui said. Let's see, he said, after which a strange Sharingan lit up in the dark slit, the tomo of which folded into one and formed something like a black shuriken in a red iris. Suddenly the man disappeared and in his place Shisui saw his father, who was dying before his eyes over and over again. At these moments, the Uchiha could not move at all. He was completely overcome with fear and pain. After some time, realizing that he was in a genjutsu, Shisui bit his hands until they bled. Severe pain helped him break free from terrible illusions. Coming out of the genjutsu, Shisui did not find the masked man. The roots that had previously held him back and prevented him from moving simply disappeared. Shisui looked around. Half of the village lay in ruins, and in the distance the nine-tailed fox was visible, tied with huge chains. Shisui quickly headed towards it. What he saw on the spot was a huge blow to his already depressed emotional state. Minato and Kushina were pierced through by one of the nine-tails' claws. Shisui used the body flicker technique and appeared right next to them. He wanted to help them, but Minato stopped him. Shisui, we can't be helped anymore. I can already feel the life leaving me and Kushina. Namikaze said, I have no way out. I will seal the nine tails into Naruto. If you do this, sensei, you will ruin his life. After such a pogrom, many will want revenge. They will take out their grief on your son. Shisui warned him. I know, Minato said, becoming sad. Better seal it in me. I can contain its power. It's too late, Shisui. I've already prepared the sealing technique. The process has begun, said Minato, whose mouth was already bleeding. However, I can separate the Biju and seal the yin half in you. Naruto will have the light yang fox half. Both of you will restrain the nine tails. Come to me. Shisui, with tears in his eyes, approached his dying sensei. It will hurt a little, but it will go away with time. Minato said, after which a terrible dark red chakra burst out of his chest, which was absorbed into Shisui's body and a restraining seal was formed on his stomach. The same thing happened to Naruto. Now, you are both Jinchuriki. You and Naruto have a long road ahead of you, filled with suffering and pain. Help Naruto get through this. Take care of him like a brother, because from now on, you are one. Promise me, Shisui. I promise, said the boy, wiping away the tears that were welling up. Shisui. Kushina addressed the boy. Bring Naruto to me. I want to tell him something. Shisui fulfilled Kushina's request. Naruto, she said sadly. Don't rush when you eat. Eat a lot and grow strong. Take a bath every day and stay warm. And don't go to bed late. You need a lot of sleep. And make friends. You don't need a lot of friends. A couple you really trust is enough. I had problems with this. Study hard and train hard in different techniques. Remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Don't be too upset if you couldn't do something. Respect your teachers and seniors at the academy. And most importantly, avoid the 3 vices of shinobi. Be careful with your money. Put money aside from missions and don't drink alcohol until you come of age. As for women, well, I'm a woman myself and I don't know what to say about this. All you need to know is that this world is built on men and women and one day you will fall in love, but don't fall in love with a bad girl, find someone like me. Beware of Jiraiya sensei, Dadbane. Naruto, you will experience a lot of pain and suffering from now on, don't forget who you are. Find your dream and go for it. Kushina looked at Shisui and touched his cheek with her hand. You were always strong, Shisui. I hope Naruto grows up like you. Kushina said, after which she closed her eyes forever. Minato looked at Shisui and Naruto for a few more minutes, looking at them with pride. I wanted to tell Naruto the same thing, but his talkative mother. Minato said, smiling, then closed his eyes and went after Kushina. Soon the body of the nine tails itself dissolved. Today, the people who replaced his parents died and this broke the Uchiha. Wiping away his tears, Shisui, with Naruto in his arms, headed towards the half-destroyed Konoha. There he was met by the third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, who soon after the pogrom, offered him to join the Anbu, to which Shisui at that time agreed for several reasons. One being in Anbu, he will be able to start searching for that mysterious Uchiha who was indirectly responsible for Minato and Kushina's death. Shisui was thirsty for retribution at that time. 2. While in Anbu, he would be able, as he then thought, to protect the village from the shadows, following his father's instructions. 3. He was under a lot of pressure from his clan. Since he was the only genius of the clan at that time, the attitude towards him was accordingly. He had to live up to his family's expectations. While serving in the Anbu, Shisui met the 4th Hokage's teacher, Jiraiya, who decided to personally finish training the young Uchiha. Now, still not finding the man in the mask, having served 5 long years in Anbu, Shisui finally decided to fulfill the promise given to Minato. He would return to the village and protect Naruto and even help the Sage of the Six Paths in further training, but there was something that worried Shisui. Naruto, apparently, had already managed to establish contact with his half of the nine tails, but he still hadn't managed. Something was preventing the Uchiha from entering the fox's subconscious, but Shisui himself didn't understand what exactly. The brunette sat in the lotus position and began to meditate, hoping that this time he would succeed. Naruto woke up in a room unfamiliar to him. These were not the white walls of the hospital that greeted him every time soon after beatings from villagers or drunk shinobi, but a completely ordinary room. Naruto was lying on a completely ordinary comfortable bed, not a hospital bed. The boy was covered with a blanket and there was almost no clothing on him. Naruto got up from the bed. Kurama, teacher. Naruto tried to contact Hagoromo and the Nine Tails. Are you here? All Naruto heard in response was Kurama's terrible snoring, which cut his ears until they bled. The teacher is probably still recovering. How much of his chakra did he give me? Uzumaki thought to himself. And Kurama is probably still offended. I think I was too hard on him. After all, it was he who saved Sakura. I gave him full control at that moment and he could have taken over my body and escaped, but he didn't. However, I'm still not ready to trust him. Suddenly the door to the room opened and a man entered the room, who looked to be about 29 to 30 years old. He had pastel purple hair that stood on end in several large tufts. The hair on his temples went into sideburns and became a kind of mustache. He was dressed in a blue yukata, under which was a green shirt. His pants were burgundy. The man began to carefully study Naruto with his eyes, and the blonde himself got up from the bed. Sorry, he said, I'm leaving now. The man smiled slightly. Where are you going in such a state? He asked with a mocking voice. To your house, Naruto answered coldly. The man shook his head, then chuckled slightly. Ha, you act like you've been captured by the enemy. He said, lie down, you can't get up now. According to my Sakura, you've used up too much chakra, Naruto-kun. So you are her father? Well, who else? Sakura's father asked rhetorically. By the way, let me introduce myself. My name is Kazashi Haruno. Nice to meet you, Kazashi-san. Naruto said just as coldly, shaking Kazashi's hand. Lie down, you need to rest. But. No buts. Kazashi snapped, after which he said almost the same words that the teacher had said to Naruto earlier in training. If you don't restore your chakra, you risk losing it forever. Naruto, hearing these words, obediently lay back down on the bed. The man covered the blonde with a blanket, then left the room. Naruto closed his eyes and entered his subconscious again, finding himself again at the same cage. Kurama was still sleeping, and the sage was still meditating. Sadly looking at the fox and the teacher, Naruto wanted to leave his subconscious, but Hagoromo's voice stopped him. Naruto, and I was waiting for you to look in, said Hagoromo. Uzumaki turned around. Master, have you recovered yet? Naruto asked. Almost, Hagoromo answered. If I were younger now, it would take much less time to restore my chakra. And I see, you and Kurama have already managed to get into trouble. How do you know? Naruto asked with a surprised face. Even while I'm asleep, I can watch you, Hagoromo replied. The enemy shinobi attacked Sakura and Kurama and I saved her. Naruto said, you acted together as one, but later something destroyed this connection between you. Maybe those were my words to Kurama that I can't trust him completely. Naruto suggested. His intentions were pure. He extended a helping hand to you, and then you pushed it away. I'm not really ready to trust him completely yet. Naruto said, lowering his head. He could take control of my body, and then get out and ruin many lives again. I can't let that happen. I can understand you, but still, you and Kurama are one. In one piece? Naruto asked, puzzled. You are like yin and yang, two halves of one whole, light and darkness in one container. Hagoromo answered. You, Naruto, are the light, and Kurama. Kurama is the darkness, filled with anger and malice. However, sometimes even the darkest and most rotten soul has a particle of light, and in the brightest soul there will always be darkness. Working together, converging with your opposite characters, you become a part of each other. You are connected, whether you want it or not. You need to trust Kurama. Think about it. Okay, teacher, Naruto said. Then go. Once you've recovered, we can start training again. Hagoromo said. Naruto's vision darkened again and he woke up in the same bed, in the same room. He lay there for a long time, looking at the ceiling and thinking about his sensei's words. Yin and yang, he repeated to himself all this time. Suddenly, the door to the room opened again and the pink-haired girl he already knew entered the room with a tray with a plate freshly made ramen. Naruto's stomach growled at the sight of his favorite noodles. Hello, Sakura said with a sweet smile on her face. How are you feeling? More or less, although my shoulders tingle a little. Naruto answered. Can I check? She asked. Go ahead, he answered coldly. Sakura began to examine Naruto's back. There were traces of Haku's ice and bonds on his back and only one small needle remained in one of his shoulders that Kurama hadn't pulled out. But Sakura did it for him, sharply pulling the needle out of Naruto's shoulder, causing him to squeal in pain, trying not to scream throughout the entire house. What the? He squeezed out, writhing in pain. Sakura showed him Senbon, and somewhere in the depths of his consciousness, the mocking laughter of the awakened nine-tailed fox could be heard. What? Does it hurt, kid? Ha 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 ha, Kurama mocked. Naruto didn't answer, deciding to never pay attention to such teasing from Kurama again. Sorry, said Sakura. Does it hurt? No, Naruto answered. It hurts like hell. Why did you have to pull it out like that? Couldn't you have been more careful? Sakura flushed and hit Naruto on the head. Idiot, she said angrily. I'm not some kind of surgeon. Yeah, right, I forgot that I shouldn't make you angry, Naruto said, stroking his head to check if a bump had formed. Luckily, Sakura didn't hit him that hard this time. However, Naruto had to be prepared for such attacks from Sakura now if he was going to be friends with her. Sorry and thank you. Everything is fine now. Well, that's good, said Sakura, changing her angry expression to a more cheerful and sweet one. However, now this face seemed even more terrible to Naruto than Kurama's when he first met him. Here, eat. I brought it just right for you. Naruto accepted the tray and ate the entire portion of ramen in one gulp. Thank you, Naruto said, finishing his meal and handing the tray back to Sakura. Thank you, she said tenderly, after which she kissed Naruto on the cheek, which made the blonde blush. Get well soon. She left the room, closing the door. Naruto scratched his head. She is very strong. If this power is directed in the right direction, then by the age of 14 to 16 she would probably already be at the level of no lower than Jonin. Naruto thought to himself, after which he lay down on the bed again. The blonde returned to his thoughts and began to scroll through the events of the recent night. At that time, he trusted Kurama for the first time and he did not let him down. His intentions were still pure. However, there was something that worried Naruto. Who is this Danzo? Why does he need Uncle Shisui dead? These questions tormented Naruto the most now. Master. Naruto tried to contact Hagoromo once again. There was no response. He probably continued to recover. The nine-tail snore was heard once again. Kurama. He addressed the fox. I know that you are upset with me, but I need your help. I thought about a lot and still decided to trust you. I need you, said the boy. The snoring stopped and there was silence that lasted for several minutes. Naruto entered his subconscious and met the nine-tailed fox's gaze. And why do you need my help? Kurama asked coldly. I need to find out as much as possible about this one person. I want to know everything. His goals, his motivation. Absolutely everything. We already know the name. Danzo. We need to find out who he is and why he needs Uncle Shisui's death, and if possible, we need to stop him. Naruto said. Kurama thought. I'm in. Kurama folded his paw into a fist and extended it towards the bars. Naruto looked questioningly at the fox. Touch my fist with yours. This will be our gesture of reconciliation and unification. Naruto clenched his fist and touched Kurama's fist with it. From now on, you and I are one. Naruto said. Like yin and yang. Shisui meditated for a long time. He concentrated his chakra in his brain, even tried to fall asleep, but something stubbornly did not let him into the subconscious. Then Shisui decided to use the last thing he had left, the remains of the natural chakra that was still circulating in the young Uchiha, even though the hermit mode had long since dissipated. Shisui put the rest of this energy into the brain. In addition, Shisui again added his chakra. Shisui finally felt the presence of the nine tails in himself, after which the Uchiha's eyes darkened and he found himself in some kind of gloomy corridor. Feeling the ominous chakra of the fox, Shisui headed towards its source. Arriving at the place, the brunette went out into a spacious room, at the end of which a huge lattice was visible. Shisui slowly approached it and from the darkness of the cage two large and terrible eyes with vertical pupils appeared. These eyes were filled with hatred. Uchiha. Fox said Shisui's name in a rough, scary voice. Those eyes looked at the brunette with disdain. Have you come to subjugate me with your Sharingan? No, Uchiha answered coldly. Then why are you disturbing me? The demon asked angrily. I came to talk. Commentary on Chapter 3 Yin and Yang. Well, this chapter is probably the longest. I wanted to publish it yesterday, but then there was some technical work, so I had to increase the chapter size to compensate for your wait. I hope that the chapter was worth my time spent writing it. And I hope that you liked it. By the way, I already have an idea for a new plot, but for now I'll finish this one. Don't leave the comments field empty and criticize if something is wrong. I'll take everything into account. P. Thanks for your activity under the last chapter. I am very grateful to you and please keep up the good work. Chapter 4 The Way of Chi. I have nothing to talk about with you, Uchiha. The fox said angrily, sticking his red muzzle out of the darkness. Why are you so angry? Maybe I can help you with something? Shisui asked, smiling. The fox only bared his teeth angrily. Cut out your entire clan and kill yourself, please. Then you will do me a great favor, said the fox, smiling maliciously. Well, I won't do that, Shisui said, crossing his arms over his chest. Then get out of here, Fox yelled, after which he somehow threw Shisui out of the subconscious and the Uchiha again found himself in the real world. Well, we had a good talk, said Uchiha, sighing heavily. Okay, I'll try later. Right now, Jiraiya-sensei and Fukasaku-sama are probably already waiting for me. Getting up from the ground, Shisui headed to the place where he would continue training in the Toad style. He needed to urgently finish his training and return to Konoha. Naruto, let's do it again, the Sage of Six Paths said to his student. Naruto tried to concentrate his chakra in his hand and then transform it into lightning around his fist, but this time it didn't work. I was able to do it, Naruto said. What happened now? The fact is that this technique requires not only good control of chakra and the ability to change its nature, but also the ability to accumulate natural energy. But I used my chakra, Naruto said. Then it was I who gave you the natural energy I had accumulated and you were able to transform it into lightning. Alas, you will not be able to use this technique on your own. Can I learn to accumulate natural energy? Naruto asked. I can't teach you that, but the toads on Mount Myoboku or the snakes in Raichi Cave can help you with that. However, you can't get to them now. You must first sign a special contract with one of them, and then use the summoning technique to summon one of these creatures. Then the summoned animal will use the reverse summoning technique to take you to your destination. Naruto thought. What seals are needed for the summoning technique? The blonde asked. A snake, a tiger, a dog, a bird. Then you have to bite your finger and rub the blood on the place where you want to summon the contract animal. Hagoromo answered. But you don't have it now. Father. Kurama interrupted Hagoromo, not letting him finish. Naruto at that moment abruptly came out of his subconscious, after which he folded the name seals, bit his finger and drew blood on the floor. Suddenly Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, right in front of Sakura, who entered the room. The last thing Naruto saw was her surprised face. The blonde himself found himself in some beautiful and at the same time strange place. There were mountains everywhere, and many huge planets were visible in the night sky. He was surrounded by humanoid creatures with wolf faces. They were dressed in golden armor and held curved katanas in their hands. RRRR. One of them growled. Naruto Uzumaki, we were waiting for you. Naruto made a surprised face. Me? Well, who else? Said the wolf with a bandage over his left eye in a smoky and rough voice, after which he turned to his soldiers. Stop it. This man is not our enemy. All the wolf soldiers put their katanas back in their sheaths and dispersed. Let's go, said the one-eyed wolf and motioned for Naruto to follow him. The blonde followed him. Naruto, said the Sage of Six Paths. I must admit, I am quite surprised. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. I expected you to end up in Raichi Cave or some other place, but of all places, you ended up here. The sage replied. What is this place? Naruto continued asking questions. This is a very ancient place. It existed even before the birth of the universe. The inhabitants here are very strong and wise. Here you will learn not only to accumulate natural energy. What else? You'll see, Hagoromo said, smiling. We have arrived, said the one-eyed wolf. You must go on alone from here. The wolf pointed to a huge gate with wolf heads. The heads resembled the Hokage heads carved into the rocks surrounding Konoha. But this is my first time here. I might get lost, Naruto said. Straight ahead, the wolf said mysteriously. Only straight ahead. The blonde walked through the gate, which then slowly swung open in front of him. Naruto came out onto an unusual-looking bridge that resembled a rainbow. Naruto approached this bridge and looked down. There was only a black void, in which there was nothing but stars. Naruto had some strange feeling. And yet, what is this place? Are we even on Earth? No, the Earth is far from this place. Hagoromo replied. Naruto was overcome with fear and shock at the same time. I'm in space, Naruto asked, hoping that wasn't the case. Exactly, answered the sage. Naruto wanted to run away from panic. But how will I get back now? Don't worry, Naruto. Hagoromo reassured him. You can return at any time using the reverse summoning technique. What kind of seals are needed for this technique? Naruto asked, catching his breath. I'll tell you when you get to the end of this bridge. Hagoromo set the condition. Naruto snorted, then headed across the bridge to a small island with a temple. Having reached it, Naruto, out of curiosity, went into this very temple. A huge hall opened up in front of the blonde, at the end of which sat a huge creature. It sat with its back to Naruto and its huge fluffy fluttering tails were visible. There were about 15 of them. The creature looked into the emptiness of open space. Naruto Uzumaki, it said in a calm voice. I've been waiting for you for so long. Come to me. Naruto, don't be afraid and do as he says, said Hagoromo. Naruto obediently headed towards the creature. It turned around. The creature was a huge wolf. It was almost a complete copy of Kurama. The only differences were the number of tails and the fact that instead of a fox's muzzle it had a wolf's muzzle, covered in red tattoos. The wolf's fur was white. He's also a biju, Kurama thought to himself in Naruto's subconscious. That definitely can't be. There are only 9 of us. Or 10, if you count the 10 tails that father created us from. I should probably ask the old man a few questions later. Naruto looked at the 15 tails in surprise at this moment. This biju had quite a calming aura. The wolf raised its paw and motioned for Naruto to come over. Come closer, said Biju, smiling. I don't bite. Naruto came even closer to the wolf. My name is Okami. I am the elder of this ancient place. As I said, I was waiting for you. But, why me? Naruto asked the expected question, finally getting over his emotions. It is the will of the universe. The wolf said mysteriously. Recently she sent me a vision that a child with the eyes of God would come to me. With the eyes of God? Naruto asked again with a puzzled look. A gift from the universe. These eyes were given to you by the spirit sealed within you. Naruto, the sage of the 6 paths addressed him. It seems he's talking about the Rinnegan. Show them to me, said the wolf. Naruto activated his Rinnegan. It really is you, he said. In that case, you can sign a contract with us wolves for the summoning. Afterwards we will begin the training. Training in what? Naruto asked. You'll see, said the wolf, after which he took out a small white scroll from his mouth. Naruto only snorted in response. Taking the scroll and unrolling it, Naruto hesitated a little. He didn't know how exactly contracts with animals were signed. Naruto, Hagoromo addressed Uzumaki again. In order to sign the contract, you must bite your finger again, make a signature with your blood and leave your mark in the form of a spread palm. Naruto unrolled the scroll and did as his teacher said. Naruto gave the scroll back to Okami, mentally thanking his sensei. Now let's begin, said the wolf. Follow me. Naruto followed Okami and they both left the temple. After that, with one click of the fingers of this biju, they found themselves in another part of this huge space island right in front of the highest mountain. Right under its foot, purple water flowed from the depths of the mountain, in which powerful chakra could be felt. This water was soaked through with it. Naruto, you were told about natural energy, weren't you? Okami asked. Yes, Naruto answered. What? The thing is, there is energy that is on a completely different level in terms of power than natural energy, answered the wolf. Namely, the energy of the universe. You ask me, how is it so different? Almost nothing, but the difference in power will be enormous. You will become as fast as lightning. All your senses will be so sharpened that you will be able to hear what people who are at a huge distance from you are saying. Also, you will be able to see further than others. You will even be able to read minds. Plus, a catastrophically huge blow force is added to all this. You will be able to break entire mountains with one touch. Naruto's eyes lit up. Are you ready to learn how to absorb the energy of the universe? Asked 15-tailed. Yes, Naruto answered confidently in anticipation. Then let's get started right now, said the wolf. Where do we start? Naruto asked. You must drink the water from the spring. Okami answered. However, know this, if you drink too much, the energy that is imbued in this sacred water will split your body into atoms and you will die. In the best case, you will turn into a statue and I will be able to return you to your previous state by simply hitting you on the head with my paw. Naruto's eyes widened. What happens if I drink too little? Asked the blonde. You'll turn into a wolf. Okami said. Okay then, Naruto said, catching his breath. Whatever. Naruto took some water in his hands and then drank it all. His hands changed. They took the form of wolf paws. Hair appeared on his chest, and his hair turned black. Okami hit Naruto with his paw and all the changes went away. His hands took on a human shape again, the hair on his chest disappeared, and his hair turned yellow again. It hurts, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. You will have to endure this pain until you learn to feel the energy of the universe, said the wolf. Let's do it again. Naruto drank more water. Changes began again. Okami struck again. And so much time passed. Eventually Naruto was exhausted from chakra exhaustion. Tired? Okami asked rhetorically. Naruto, lying on the ground and gasping for breath, quinuled. Then rest, said the wolf. We'll continue when you've recovered. The Biju disappeared in a puff of smoke, and Naruto continued to lie on the ground and admire the beautiful view of outer space. Near the island there were many planets and nebulae, which together formed a beautiful picture of the endless universe. Wonderful, huh? Hagoromo asked with a smile. Yes, Naruto answered happily, admiring the stars. I wish Sakura or Uncle Shisui were here. I think they would like it here. Yes, maybe, said the Sage of Six Paths. By the way, I would like to teach you a technique that will help you with your training. What technique? Naruto asked, perking up. Enter the subconscious first, Hagoromo asked. I'll show you how it works. Naruto closed his eyes and appeared next to Kurama's cage. The fox was sleeping in the cage, and next to the cage stood not one sage of the six paths, but several at once. Naruto rubbed his eyes. What he saw was clearly not a dream. What is this? Naruto asked, his eyes wide. This is the shadow clone technique. Hagoromo replied. By using this technique, you create exact copies of yourself that carry out all your instructions. It can be said that if you have enough chakra, you can create your own small army. Naruto looked at the teacher in confusion. This is, of course, cool, but how can this technique help me in my training? All the experience and memories accumulated by the clones are transferred to you when dispelled. This way, you will be able to learn in a few days what others need years to fully learn. Hagoromo said, dispelling the shadow clone technique. All the clones of the Sage of the Six Paths dissolved in a puff of smoke. What seals are needed to use it? Naruto asked. Just one, Hagoromo answered and made the tiger seal. A single clone appeared near him. In order to make a clone, you must release it and transform it into an exact copy of yourself. Okay, I'll try, Naruto said. Don't try, Hagoromo said, shaking his head. Do it. Naruto did everything as Hagoromo showed, but only one clone was produced, which was not in the best condition and looked like a dead fish. Your chakra control is bad. Perhaps we need to work on this. Hagoromo noted. Let's do it again. And so Naruto trained for some time and in the end the blonde managed to slightly shock his sensei. Naruto created not 5 clones, as Hagoromo expected, but almost an entire army of clones of an uncountable number. Hagoromo looked with pride at his student, who at that moment was jubilant with a happy smile. He has great potential. It's not for nothing that he is the chosen one. Hagoromo thought to himself. Naruto, you are great. Such a student. Can be proud. Yeah, he's a good student, but dumb as a brick. Kurama muttered under his breath, continuing to pretend to be asleep. Hagoromo only frowned at his creation, then shook his head. Naruto only smiled and awkwardly scratched the back of his head in response to the teacher's words. Okay, Naruto, it's time for you to go to the real world. That's true, Naruto said, after which he came out of his subconscious and again found himself on the space island, lying on the ground and looking at the planets and stars. Naruto stood up, and the wolf, as if sensing that the blonde was ready to continue, moved to him. The boy created shadow clones and began training with the chakra reservoir. During the training, Okami kept hitting Naruto and his clones with his huge paw. The clones disappeared, and new ones appeared in their place. This is how Naruto trained. He was tired, but he was not going to retreat. This persistence, where did he get it from? The wolf wondered to himself. I have never seen such strong people before. And this is a small child. Naruto went on and on. 2 days passed like this. Naruto finally felt something. Okami-sama, Naruto said to the 15 tails. I feel like I can finally feel her. She's piercing me through and through. Naruto's eyes changed. The whites became completely black, the irises increased in size and became orange. His eyes began to glow in the darkness with a bright light, like the Sharingan. I see it, said the wolf, smiling. Now try to break this boulder. Okami picked up a huge boulder with one of his tails and placed it right in front of Naruto. The boulder was very large and was taller than even the 15 tails itself, which was about 20 meters tall. Hit him, Naruto, Hagoromo said from his subconscious. You can do it. Naruto put all his chakra into his fist and hit the boulder with it. It shattered into pieces and began to fly off in huge chunks of stone in different directions. Here the stones fell completely to the ground. The wolf made a shocked face. Naruto, said the wolf, continuing to maintain a surprised look. You're great. You managed to achieve such results in such a short time. Naruto made a satisfied face. However, now you must go through one more stage, said Okami. You have learned to sense the universal energy and now you must learn to accumulate it. Naruto's eyes lit up even more. I'm ready, he said. Climb that mountain. You must learn to balance on it. Now one of my subordinates will show you what to do, Okami said, after which he called that same one-eyed wolf to him. Master. The wolf addressed the bijou, sitting on one knee and lowering his head. Akeo, climb that mountain and demonstrate to this boy by your example how to accumulate the energy of the universe. Yes, Ukami-sama, Akeo said, then looked at Naruto indifferently and deftly climbed to the very top of the mountain. Okami lifted one of the stone slabs with one of his tails and placed it on the very top. Akeo sat on this slab and began to meditate on it, balancing on the thin top. Now try it yourself, Okami said. Don't try, do it. Naruto quoted his sensei Hagoromo. Okami smiled and used his tail to carry Naruto to the top, placing him on a stone slab. Uzumaki immediately fell, but the wolf caught him and placed him back. Naruto fell like that until Hagoromo spoke to him. Naruto, the sage of 6 paths addressed the blonde. Concentrate. Naruto said, out of breath. I can't. Naruto, just focus. Uzumaki did as the teacher said and finally stayed on the stove. Naruto. Hagoromo continued to support his student. Feel the ground beneath your feet, feel the sky above your head. Energy permeates your entire body from the tips of your toes to your head. You no longer belong to yourself. You are part of something greater. You are a particle of the universe. Naruto felt the universal energy and began to meditate, perfectly balancing on a stone slab. Hagoromo, although it was not visible outside the subconscious, but he was very happy for his student. The wolf Okami looked at Naruto with respect. So Naruto meditated for a few more days, not paying attention to anything. Not to the meteorites, which were making a lot of noise, crashing into the island. Not to the constant snoring of the fox inside him. A few more days later, the same tattoos as Okami appeared on Uzumaki's face. Naruto's eyes also changed. They glowed with a bright white light and illuminated everything around. The blonde, feeling a huge surge of strength, jumped off the mountain and landed on the ground with such a roar that an earthquake began and a huge through-hole almost formed. Naruto, what do you feel? Asked the wolf. I feel like I'm capable of anything now. Naruto said, I didn't think you could do it, but you entered avatar mode. Biju explained this moment. Avatar mode? Naruto asked. What is it? Only reincarnated souls can master this mode. By using it, you can not only increase your strength and speed, but also use all the knowledge and abilities of your past lives. This is cool. Naruto was delighted. And how can I use them? Fight me and you will find out everything, Okami said. Suddenly, they both moved outside the island and found themselves in some kind of barrier. It surrounded the blonde and the wolf and did not allow them to fall into zero gravity, forming an improvised arena for the fight. Are you ready, Naruto Uzumaki? Asked the 15 tails. Yes, Naruto said as red tattoos covered his entire body, releasing power of enormous proportions. You're doing great, Shisui. Jiraiya praised his student. Now you're stronger than all the Uchiha put together. Thank you for what you gave me, sensei. Shisui thanked. Now I'm capable of anything. I think it's time for you to return to Konoha now. Fugaku is probably already furious, said Jiraiya. That's true. Fukasaku, can you summon us to Konoha? Jiraiya asked the Toad Elder. Of course, Jiraiya. Fukasaku agreed and began to form seals. Pig, dog, bird, monkey, sheep. Reverse summoning technique, Fukasaku said, after which all three disappeared in a puff of smoke and found themselves right at the gates of Konoha. Thank you, Fukasaku. The hermit thanked the elder. Fukasaku nodded and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Here we part, my now definitely former student, said Jiraiya, smiling. Wouldn't you like to stay and meet your godson in person? Shisui asked. Not yet. I'm not ready yet. I won't be able to look him in the eyes. Jiraiya justified himself. Why? Shisui asked seriously. You know yourself. I am his godfather after all. I was supposed to take him in, teach him, raise him, but in the end. I understand, but you can't run away from this forever, Shisui said. Jiraiya thought about it and a poorly concealed sadness appeared on his face. Goodbye, Shisui, Jiraiya said, before also disappearing into a puff of smoke. The Uchiha shook his head. Ah, Jiraiya. Shisui was disappointed. The brunette greeted Izumo and Katetsu, after which he headed not to the Uchiha quarter, but to a more secluded place where there were few people. When he arrived at the place, he immediately sat in the lotus position and began to meditate. He again accumulated natural charm in a few minutes and destroyed the barrier that did not let him to the nine tails. He entered his subconscious. You again, Uchiha, the fox said furiously. Are you tired of living? As long as you're in this cage, you can't do anything to me. And I can use my Koto Amatsukami to simply subjugate you. The fox hit the bars with his paw and looked at the Uchiha with hatred. I'll get out of here and happily rip you apart, he said, smiling sarcastically. I'll let you out of here. The nine tails couldn't believe his ears. What are you doing? What did you hear, deaf man? Shisui answered indifferently. I'm letting you out. Shisui concentrated his chakra into his fingers and touched the seal on his stomach. He made one circular motion and the seal disappeared along with the grill. Commentary on Chapter 4 The Way of Chi. Yes, there's a lot of improvisation in this chapter, but it is necessary for further development of the plot. You will see why later. Don't leave the comments field empty. I hope that you liked the chapter and I didn't write complete nonsense. Chapter 5 Battle of the Gods, Legacy. It was your mistake, Uchiha Shisui. Ha 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 ha. The fox laughed evilly. Now I will take over your body and smash this pathetic village to hell. Well, I can't allow you to do that, Shisui answered coldly, entering hermit mode. The fox smiled slyly in response and rushed at the Uchiha. Are you ready, Naruto Uzumaki? The 15-tailed asked the blonde. Yes, Naruto said, after which red tattoos covered his entire body, releasing power of enormous proportions. His eyes began to glow brighter than the sun. The Biju himself closed his eyes, and then, opening them, activated a dujutsu unknown to the blonde. The irises of these eyes began to glow with a green-blue light. It was as if some very powerful energy was circulating in them. A few minutes later, the wolf's entire body was covered in the same color of murderous chakra. It just radiated cosmic power. Sensei. Naruto addressed Hagoromo, overcome with slight fear and surprise. What's wrong with him? This can't be, Hagoromo said in a shocked tone. What can't be? Naruto asked, not understanding what was happening. This Biju wields the Tenseigan, Hagoromo finally explained. What is this? Naruto continued to ask. This Dujutsu is the final stage of the Byakugan's evolution. Byakugan? What kind of Dujutsu is this? Naruto asked. The sage remained silent. Naruto, why were you even listening to me during training? I told you about the origins of the Hyuga clan and their Dujutsu. You should know what the Byakugan is. I guess I wasn't listening to you again, Naruto admitted, lowering his head. Sorry, sensei. Hagoromo sighed heavily. Okay, the fight is more important now, Hagoromo said. So, Tenseigan gives its user enormous power. A black sphere appeared above each of the wolf's tails. In particular, Hagoromo continued to explain, a Tenseigan user can use Gudodama, truth-seeking balls in the path of Diva, the power of repulsion and attraction that you unknowingly mastered with the Rinnegan. Well, and also, as you can see, the user of this Dujutsu is also able to cover his body with very powerful chakra. The chakra of this Biju in front of you is more powerful than even the chakra of the 10 tails. This cover gives him absolute protection from any physical or mental damage. Naruto began to think, examining and studying his opponent with his eyes, from whom green-blue chakra was pouring in all directions. They both began to move around the arena of barriers, not taking their eyes off each other. The fight began. The wolf struck first. He raised his paw, baring his claws and hit Naruto, almost crushing him. The blonde himself managed to dodge in time, jumping to the side at a decent distance. The wolf ran straight at him and began to strike quickly with his paws again. Naruto deftly dodged each of them, using his reaction, which became very fast thanks to avatar mode. Also, the force of the blow became much stronger, which was only confirmed when, during this fight, the blonde jumped up and struck a couple of blows to the wolf's muzzle. He flew off at a decent distance. It hurts, the wolf noted. We need to keep our distance from him. The wolf decided to use his tails with Gudodams, which somehow lengthened and headed straight towards the blonde. They lengthened and headed straight towards him. Naruto, do not touch the balls under any circumstances. Hagoromo warned his student. What will happen? Naruto asked. They will absorb all your chakra and kill you, Hagoromo replied. Okay, Naruto replied and began to dodge the tails with Gudodams. True, Dodging all 15 tails was quite problematic, since the tails, as if on auto guidance, turned and moved towards Uzumaki. And so, when all the tails almost reached him, Naruto unconsciously used one of the wood release techniques. His hands during its use turned into wood and created a wooden dome around him, which, surprisingly, withstood the rapid blow of the tails with Gudodoms. Meanwhile, in Naruto's subconscious, I didn't expect that he could direct his tails like that. Even I don't have such ability. Kurama muttered. He extended his tails with his chakra. Chakra for the 15 tails is like an extension of its limbs. In this case, it's the tails. Hagoromo explained. Yes, this Biju is stronger than the 10 tails. And he even owns the Tensegan. How I would like to fight him personally. But alas, I am forced to just watch this, being sealed in the body of this brat, who is getting it from him right now. Kurama thought to himself, growling in displeasure. Damn, Hagoromo grumbled. What happened, father? Kurama asked, opening his eyes. All 15 tails with Gudodama are flying straight at Naruto. Hagoromo answered worriedly. Well, Fox began to panic. Hey, Tobirama, are you cheating? Someone's voice was suddenly heard. Right in front of the cage, a man in dark red armor was sitting at some table, holding cards in his hands. What, Tobirama, where did you disappear to? Kurama and the sage stood, looking at the long-haired, dark-eyed, tanned man with a surprised look. The man fixed his gaze on them. It was Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage and the legendary god of shinobi. Hey, you, the first addressed Hagoromo and Lee. Have you seen where my brother disappeared to? The sage and Kurama shook their heads, maintaining a surprised look. I see, Hashirama said and looked around the place where he was now. He stood up from the table, placing the cards on it and looked straight at the sage again. So, I recognize the 9 tails, but who are you and where am I now? I am Hagoromo Otsutsuki, known as the Rakudo Sennin. And we are in. Oh, come on, that same Rakudo Sennin, the first shinobi. Hashirama interrupted him with loud surprise. This is the best day of my life. Ha, the fox grinned. Ah, well yes, I'm dead, Hashirama guessed, recovering from his surprise and lowering his head in disappointment. However, where am I? I wanted to say, but you interrupted me Hashirama-san. The sage scolded the first Hokage. Hagoromo sighed heavily. We are in the subconscious of the descendant of the Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki. Ha, now that's what I call, the irony of fate. Yes, and he will die right now if he is not helped. Warned the fox. I would gladly help my wife Nito's distant relative, but I don't know how, Hashirama said, lowering his head again. I know how. A voice, painfully familiar and dear to the sage, was heard. Asura? Asked the sage, turning around. Hello, father, said a man in the same white kimono with Tomo as the sage. Son. Hagoromo wanted to say something, but Asura stopped him, gesturing that now was not the time for talking. Who else are you? Hashirama asked. It doesn't matter now, Asura answered Hashirama. Repeat after me. Asura began to form some unknown seals and the first Hokage repeated exactly after him. After they both finished, Ashura and Hashirama turned into pure energy. This energy began to envelop the entire room, after which it merged with the walls. Everything around was illuminated with a bright light, even Kurama's dark cage. Father, what did they do? Asked Kurama. They merged with Naruto's consciousness. The 3 of them are now one. Hagoromo explained. Meanwhile, in the real world. What is this? How did I do this? Naruto thought to himself, while in the wooden dome. And, what's wrong with my hands? Suddenly, Naruto came up with previously unknown techniques. He decided to try one of them and concentrated his chakra in his hand. Then he added the energy of the universe and a huge sphere formed in his hand, inside of which were several large rotating blue spheres of chakra. What is this? Kurama asked. This is Asura's technique. It's called Amanamahashira. My son used both hands to create it, but Naruto somehow managed to create it with just one. It's probably due to the power of the cosmic energy circulating within him. Meanwhile, Naruto removed the dome and hit the approaching tails with all his might with his new technique. A huge explosion was created. The smoke from it enveloped the entire arena of barriers, but after a few minutes it cleared, revealing two figures. One of them was the 15-tailed Biju, which was standing on all fours with a sly smile on its wolfish face. The second figure was a panting Naruto, next to whom lay the ashes of the destroyed Gudodam. Naruto's hair had changed color to black and was as long as Hashirama's, and he had black stubble on his chin. Now are you going to fight me seriously? Asked the wolf, still maintaining his sly smile. I will crush you, Naruto said with confidence and folded the seal of internal chakra concentration. Sage art, would release, thousand-armed truth technique, he said, after which he found himself on the head of a huge wooden Buddha statue, which was twice as tall as his opponent. Behind this statue was a huge fan of wooden hands, which then disbanded and thousands of fists flew straight towards the 15-tailed. The wolf unexpectedly showed another ability. He scattered into a pack of small wolves and managed to avoid the fatal blow. Having gathered himself back, Okami used one of the remaining Gudodama and poured a huge amount of chakra into it. Meanwhile, thousands of wooden fists flew at him again. He took the Gudodama in his paw and formed a huge golden sword from it. Explosion of the golden wheel of reincarnation, he said, after which he cut the Buddha statue with his sword. Naruto flew down at great speed. How many more aces does he have up his sleeve? Naruto thought to himself. The current brunette began to fold seals in the air. Snake, ram, hare, dog, snake. Wood release. Wood dragon technique. Naruto said, and a huge snake-like dragon appeared right under him. Naruto grabbed his ears and rushed on the dragon towards the wolf. Biju collected all the remaining Gudodam and formed a rotating ring out of them right in front of him. Blast of the silver wheel of reincarnation, Okami said, and a stream of destructive wind rushed from this ring towards Naruto. The blonde began to fold seals for another technique at great speed again. Bull, dog, rat. Wind release. Wall of swift wind. Naruto said, and a huge wall of wind formed right in front of him, which managed to hold back Okami's hurricane technique. Damn, Naruto thought to himself. My cosmic chakra is almost gone, as is my own. It seems that this chakra is somehow mixing with mine and therefore my own energy is leaving along with the cosmic energy. This is one of the shortcomings of my mode. Right now I only have enough chakra for 3 techniques, and then avatar mode will dissipate and that's it. The end. I need to get as close to the Biju as possible immediately. Naruto quickly crawled on the dragon towards the Biju. He crawled so fast that he managed to entangle the wolf with the snake-like body of his wooden dragon. The dragon sank its teeth into Okami's throat and began to suck out his chakra. However, Okami again used his ability to split his body into a pack of small wolves, freeing himself from Naruto's grip. The wolf ran a short distance and again gathered into a single body. Naruto again formed Amanamahashira in his hand and threw this barrier with rotating spheres right at the wolf, quickly crawling towards him on the wooden dragon. This time, the Biju was more prudent and, covering his Gudodams with green-blue chakra, absorbed this technique right on the fly with the help of these spheres. Naruto was slightly surprised, but did not show it. He continued to quickly move towards the Biju. The same one completely destroyed the dragon, directing his tails with Gudodams at it. Naruto flew down again, but managed to land on both feet. I hope that after using this technique, I will still have chakra left for the final stage of the fight. Naruto thought to himself. He folded the snake hand seal. Wood release. Wood golem technique. The current brunette said. He created a huge wooden creature from his chakra, which he fully controlled, just like the dragon. Now or never, Naruto said to himself and rushed straight at the Biju, ignoring the blows of the Gudodam, which had already passed through his golem and almost destroyed it. Here, Naruto was already right next to Okami. Naruto jumped straight to the wolf's head, quickly folding seals for 2 final techniques. Tiger. Darkness Advent technique. Naruto said and the Biju's eyes darkened. Pig, dog, bird, monkey, goat, monkey, tiger. 60-year-old Hokage-style technique. Kakuin entering society with bliss-bringing hands. The current brunette said and a kanji appeared on his hand, with which Naruto touched Okami's forehead. Naruto jumped off the Biju's head and began to suck out its chakra. The wolf simply could not move. He was clearly exhausted from the fight. At least that's what Naruto thought. Okami froze, caught in a genjutsu. Now the green-blue chakra cloak had completely disappeared along with the Gudodama. Okami's eyes had returned to their normal state, and the current brunette's avatar mode had dissipated. Naruto fell to the ground from complete chakra exhaustion and lost consciousness. The Biju himself finally came to and looked at the lying blonde. His hair had returned to its normal state, and the red tattoos on his face and all over his body had disappeared. Ha! This technique was useless against me. No matter how much he absorbed my chakra, he still couldn't take it all from me, because mine is infinite. Wolf chuckled in his thoughts. However, he was the first one who managed to remove this veil from me. He was a worthy opponent and that's a fact. I'll tell him when he wakes up that he defeated me. The wolf grabbed the unconscious body of the blonde with one of its tails and carried him away from the barrier arena. Meanwhile, in Naruto's mind. Phew, it was a tough fight, but we still won. Hashirama said. I wouldn't say so. Asura objected. Naruto needs to train as much as possible with avatar mode and our techniques. He has absolutely no experience. I disagree. The first Hokage decided to argue. As for me, Uzumaki showed a decent level. Think as you wish. Asura replied. I don't have time to argue with you, Hashirama-san. In a few seconds we'll be back in the pure world, anyway. Then I'll find you there. Hashirama said confidently. You won't be able to. Asura answered coldly, after which he looked at father sadly and began to disappear. Goodbye, father. My brother and I are waiting for you in the pure world. I'll be joining you soon. Hagoromo said with a smile. So I won't say goodbye. Asura nodded, and then disappeared completely. Hashirama followed after him. No, I'll find him. The first Hokage muttered to himself and disappeared as well. That was unusual. How did Naruto manage to summon them? Kurama asked. You saw the tattoos that covered Naruto's body when he was in avatar mode, right? Hagoromo asked in return. Well, yeah, and? Kurama asked, not understanding. These tattoos have the same properties as the hieroglyphs that appear when using the summoning technique. These hieroglyphs seem to summon the souls of past lives from the pure world. Hagoromo explained. Is it clear now? More or less, answered the fox. The entire room was illuminated by the bright chakra of the nine-tailed fox, which was released during the long battle with Shisui Uchiha. Now both opponents stood opposite each other, preparing for the final push. Shisui was very exhausted from the long fight with the Biju and his natural chakra was almost gone. One more technique in the hermit mode will dissipate completely. Let's go back a few hours. After a short conversation, the fox rushed at Shisui without thinking. He made swift strikes with his long clawed paws, but Shisui dodged them, moving faster than lightning. Shisui moved so fast that the fox did not notice how the Uchiha created a clone, and he hid in the darkness of the fox's former cell. The nine tails struck Shisui's clone and it dissipated. The fox smiled maliciously, thinking that he had finally killed his jailer, but he himself did not notice how he was already slammed into the ground by the ultra-big ball Rasengan created by Shisui when he jumped from the ceiling right on the nine tails. Shisui landed on the ground, after which he formed hand seals and released a great fireball at the fox. Although these techniques were powerful, the nine tails recovered very quickly and managed to get up. He poured his chakra into his paw, then swung it and created a huge tornado, which rushed towards Shisui. However, the extreme speed of the young shinobi helped him avoid the attack. Then Kurama created several more tornadoes, which then filled the entire room. However, the Uchiha continued to dodge them, using his speed. So their fight continued for several more hours. Each of these two was not inferior to the other. And now, they are standing in front of each other, tired and exhausted. Both have very little chakra left. Shisui had already activated his special Mangekyo Sharingan, preparing to use Koto Amatsukami on the nine tails. However, someone's hand suddenly grabbed Shisui by the shoulder. The fourth fox was surprised. Shisui turned around. Right in front of him stood his once dead sensei. Hello, Shisui. You've grown so much, Minato noted. Teacher. Uchiha was also surprised. But, how? How did I end up here? Minato guessed. You see, when I sealed the nine tails into you and Naruto, I left a piece of my chakra in both of you so that I could help you defeat the fox later. You're at your limit, and that's why I'm here. Put your hand on mine. Shisui did as Minato said. Now, concentrate Rasengan in her. I don't have much chakra. I only have enough for Koto Amatsukami. Shisui said. Shisui, trust me, Minato said. Uchiha nodded and directed the rest of his and nature's chakra into his palm, after which he released it and began to concentrate the Rasengan in it. When the blue sphere formed, it suddenly began to grow. After some time, the Rasengan grew to such a size that the size of the current Rasengan surpassed the size of the ultra-large ball. Now in Shisui's hand there was simply a Rasengan ball of titanic size. In appearance, it seemed very heavy, but in fact, it was as light as a feather. Shisui looked at Minato in surprise. He only smiled in response. Now it's all in your hands, Minato said, and then disappeared. Shisui shed a small tear, but nevertheless, he suppressed all feelings in himself, concentrating on the fight. The Uchiha, putting the last of his chakra into his legs, with the Rasengan at the ready, headed towards the Nine Tails. The fox stood up and created another wave of tornadoes in order to stop the Uchiha. However, Shisui simply jumped over this barrier, concentrating natural energy in his legs. Thus, Shisui ended up right above the fox's head and hit the fox with all his might with the Rasengan of the teacher and student, as Shisui called this joint technique, once again slamming him into the ground. The fox lost consciousness, and Shisui deactivated the Mogikyo Sharingan, abandoning the idea of the Koto Amatsukami. The hermit mode dissipated, and Shisui lost consciousness from complete exhaustion. Naruto woke up in some room. It was furnished with brand new furniture. It felt like no one had ever set foot here. The blonde was wearing only his underwear again, and his bag with scrolls and weapons was lying next to the bed. Looking at it, Naruto remembered his captives. He still didn't know exactly what to do with them. Naruto got up from the bed and noticed a large box next to his feet, which had a seal and an inscription. Your clothes were badly damaged during the fight with the master, so we made you new ones. They will last you a very long time, if not your entire life. Your new clothes are made of a material that does not tear and will change its size as your body grows. Sincerely, Akeo, the one-eyed devil. P.S. You will still have to wash these clothes. Naruto grinned, then tore off the seal and opened the box. There was a black jacket with a large Uzumaki clan symbol on the back and red stripes on the sleeves from the shoulders to the wrists. There was also a checkered t-shirt and black sweatpants with the same red stripes on the sides. Naruto put on all this clothing, put a bag on his belt and left the room. Naruto went out into the corridor, which, as it turned out, was bustling with life. Many people and wolves were walking along these corridors. Some were chatting about something nice, someone was running headlong, carrying unwashed laundry in their hands, and someone was just standing. Naruto went to study the area in which he found himself. Many here looked at Naruto with respect, which was unusual for the blonde, since he mostly had to deal with looks of hatred and fear. Naruto went further down the corridor and accidentally bumped into Akeo, who at that moment was just heading to the blonde's room. Naruto Uzumaki, you're already awake. One Eye coldly remarked. Yes, Naruto said, studying Akeo with his eyes. Let's go. The master is waiting for you. The wolf answered in the same cold tone. Naruto followed Akeo without a word. As they walked, Naruto wanted to talk to this cold warrior for a bit. Are you always like this? Naruto asked. What? Such? Akeo asked in return, cold and silent. Naruto explained. In most cases, yes. Akeo answered indifferently. Even with friends. I have no friends. The wolf snapped. Family? No. They all left me, answered the one-eyed devil. Abandoned. But, why? They are all UVB. Naruto looked at Akeo with confusion. He stopped. Killed in battle. Wolf answered menacingly, standing with his back to the blonde. Any more questions or are we going already? No. Naruto answered, looking sympathetically at Akeo. I shouldn't have asked. I must have touched a nerve. And my parents are also UVB. Naruto lowered his head and they walked the rest of the way in silence. Now they had already reached a huge hall, at the end of which sat the 15-tailed, once again contemplating the beauty of outer space. Okami pricked up his ears, guessing the presence of strangers in his abode. Akeo. Biju addressed the one-eyed. Leave us. The wolf bowed to the master, after which he instantly disappeared, as if he had never been there. Naruto. Come to me, Okami said. Naruto slowly walked towards him. Now he was standing right next to the Biju. Naruto, you were a worthy opponent. And, you managed to defeat me. I think you're ready now. Ready for what? Naruto asked. Suddenly, a katana appeared in Okami's paws, with bandages completely covering the handle. This is one of the two Masamune blades. It was created from star material and is virtually indestructible. This blade once belonged to Ashina Uzumaki, your distant ancestor and the last head of the once great clan. Before his death, he gave this blade to me, asking me to pass it on to the successor of Rakuto and the true heir of the Uzumaki clan. To you, Naruto. Okami explained and handed Naruto this katana. But, why me? Naruto asked, confused. There was a prophecy. One day, Rakudo's successor will come to the Great Wolf and master the Avatar mode. Years later, he will revive the once great Uzumaki clan from the ashes and revolutionize the shinobi world. The recent battle proved that you are the one I've been waiting for. Naruto thought over everything he heard in his head. If so, then, I would like to ask. About what? If there were two katanas, then where did the second one go? About that, even I don't know. After the Second Shinobi World War and the complete destruction of the Uzumaki clan, the blade, like all information about it, was lost. Perhaps you will learn more if you go to the ruins of Uzushio, the village of hidden whirlpools. It was once the great citadel of the Uzumaki clan and its stronghold. It was there that the main forces of the clan were concentrated during the Second World War, and it was there that it met its end. Naruto thought. I could, but, can you tell me about who destroyed my clan and why they did it? Politics. It's all the fault of fucking politics. During the war, the Whirlpool village became too strong and could stand up to the 5 great countries on its own. They were afraid of this and so, they were destroyed. So all countries united against one village. No. One village. It was the Hidden Rain village led by Hanzo Salamander. They were the ones who destroyed Uzushio. Naruto frowned slightly. Something doesn't add up. If the Whirlpool village was so strong, how could one village destroy it? They gained the trust of the Uzumaki clan and took the village by cunning. They undermined the authority of the head for years, then split the clan into 2 opposing sides and a small civil war began in Uzushio, which weakened the village. This was the perfect moment to strike. As a result, Uzushio was destroyed by the combined efforts of the Uzumaki clan and the Hidden Rain village. However, there was one person behind all this. He brazenly manipulated the head of Amagakure, Hanzo Salamander, and turned him against the Hidden Whirlpool village. And who was this man? Naruto asked. You already know his name. 2 words, 1 name. Okami answered. Danzo Shimura. Naruto said with hatred in his voice. That's another reason why I have to stop him. Naruto secured the katana to his back using chakra. If you're going to fight Danzo, you should learn one more thing. What? Naruto asked, looking closely at Okami. Wolf Taijutsu. It's a special fighting style that requires a certain amount of training, which you already have. Follow me. Okami and Naruto found themselves back near the chakra pond. Before you start learning, absorb some cosmic energy. We will need it later. Naruto sat down in the lotus position and began to draw in the cosmic chakra. When he finished, his eyes glowed not a bright white, but a dull purple. Excellent. Now we can begin, Okami said and called Akeo. Sir, what do I owe you? Asked One Eye, kneeling. Teach Naruto our fighting style. Okami asked. Your will is like air to me, said the wolf and looked at Naruto with an appraising glance. Let's go, Uzumaki. Naruto went after Akeo, and the 15 tails simply disappeared, dissolving into a puff of smoke. Strange, the teacher didn't say a word after the fight with Okami. Naruto thought to himself. Hey, Kurama, Sensei Hagoromo, are you here? I'm here, Kurama replied. And Sensei? Asked Naruto. He's here and not here at the same time. The 9-tailed fox answered somewhat uncertainly. In what sense? Well, how can I explain it? The fox asked himself. The thing is, father sent part of his soul to the pure world. I think he decided to visit his son after many years spent in this world. What is the pure world? Naruto asked. It's something like the afterlife, where souls go after they die. Kurama explained. I see. And when will Sensei return? He didn't say, but I think in a few days. Damn, Naruto grumbled. What if I need his advice? You already have a temporary teacher. Kurama replied, hinting at Akeo. I'm more used to the advice of an old man, but... Okay, since Sensei is not with us now, we'll have to make do with what we have. Naruto said somewhat discontentedly. Here Akeo and Naruto had already arrived at the place. It was a huge forest with large, varied trees. They walked into the thicket and came out onto a small plain, reminiscent of a training ground, surrounded by trees. First show me what you can do, said Akeo. But, I already showed it in the fight with your master, no? Naruto asked. You fought him using avatar mode and the experience of your past lives. I want to understand what you are capable of without them. One Eye explained. Okay, Naruto said and took off his jacket with Masamune's katana attached to it. Naruto assumed a fighting stance. Ha, and what kind of stand is this? One Eye grinned. Naruto got angry, but didn't show it. Naruto Uzumaki's stance. I'll take you down before you even notice me, Dabayo. Naruto bluffed. You won't even touch me, said the wolf with a sly smile. Attack. Naruto tried to strike, but missed. Ha, and that's all you can do? One-Eyed continued to mock. A disgrace, not a successor to Rakuto. Naruto flared up even more and rushed straight at Akeo. The one-eyed man only stepped back, and Naruto crashed into the nearest tree. Your control over your emotions is bad, Akeo noted. Although, why would I be surprised? You got this character from your mother and it's your main drawback. You knew my mother? Naruto asked in surprise, getting up from the ground. Well, even here they know about the bloody habanera and its explosive nature. But, to answer your question, then no. Personally, I didn't know it. Akeo answered. Okay, enough talk. Now you have to do 100 push-ups and 200 kicks on a tree. We'll work on your physical fitness, and then we'll move on to wolf taijutsu. Naruto sighed heavily. Nobody said it would be easy. Naruto said to himself. And so Naruto's training lasted 3 days. Akeo was a rather tough teacher and drove Naruto like God knows who. Naruto often had the feeling that Akeo did not know at all who people were and that they did not have endless energy and they got tired. However, after 3 days of training, Naruto's reaction and speed increased and he could more or less fight back the one-eyed devil. Naruto even managed to hit him on the gray muzzle and only after that did the training in mastering wolf taijutsu begin. Well done, Naruto. You're making great progress and I think it's time to teach you the wolf style. Finally, Dabayo, Naruto rejoiced. First, I'll show you with my own example. Akeo said and summoned one of his wolf soldiers. Both opponents bowed to each other and went in different directions. Then, they both ran at each other with lightning speed. Their movements were so fast that Naruto could hardly follow them. At the end, Akeo touched his opponent's chest with his fingertips, after which he simply passed out. Did you see what I did to him? Akeo asked. You touched his chest and knocked him out. This is wolf taijutsu. You see, it is based on the Hyuga clan's technique called gentle fist, but our version is more advanced. If to use the gentle fist you need to have the Byakugan and see all the chakra points, then to use the wolf style you don't need to have anything like that. You only need good chakra control and knowledge of where the chakra foci are. The effect of this technique is as follows. You concentrate a certain amount of cosmic chakra in the fingertips of your palm and touch the opponent's chest, where the chakra foci are. Then the cosmic energy moves away from the foci and temporarily blocks all chakra channels. Understood? More or less, Naruto answered. Excellent. Now try it yourself. Fight me, said Akeo. Don't try. Do it. Naruto once again quoted his teacher Hagoromo and pounced on Akeo. The blonde and Akeo clashed in taijutsu. Each of them was not inferior to the other in skill. You parry my attacks well, Akeo noted, continuing to strike. I had a good teacher, Naruto said and, parrying another attack, concentrated the cosmic chakra in his fingertips and struck Akeo's chakra hearth. However, he just stood there. He stood there, looking at Naruto with a surprised look. I didn't think you could do it like that right away, he said and fell to the ground. After a while, Akeo finally woke up. Naruto was lying next to him and contemplating the stars and planets. Beautiful, huh? Akeo asked suddenly. Naruto was a little scared, but again he didn't show it. Yes, Naruto said with some peace. It's very beautiful here. But there was a war in this place once. Akeo reminisced. War? Yes, war with the Utsutsuki, Akeo answered. This is my teacher's clan. Naruto noted. Yes, but Hagoromo, unlike those bastards, was born on Earth and values human life, just like his brother and all their descendants. For all the other Otsutsuki, nothing is sacred. They walk around the worlds, destroying and ravaging them. For them, taking someone's life is a routine matter. They think that they are the center of the universe. The wolf spat. It was in that war that everyone dear to me died. My wife, little son, parents, friends. I lost everything because of Otsutsuki. I know what it's like, to lose everything and be left alone. Are you talking about your parents? Akeo guessed. Naruto nodded. You still have everything ahead of you, Naruto. Love, wars, losses, becoming a father and a grandfather await you. You will achieve a lot, Akeo said, and I can see it now. Naruto smiled slightly. However, if you suddenly lose everything, if you find yourself in darkness, then, defend what you have left. As long as there is something to fight for, your life is not meaningless. I'll remember that, Naruto said. Well, that's good, said Akeo, smiling. Well, Okay, I think it's time for you to go back to Earth now. Wait, what about Okami? You've already learned everything that you could be taught here. The most important thing for you is to consolidate everything that we, wolves, taught you. Keep training. The blonde nodded in response, putting on his black jacket with a katana attached to the back. Akeo began to form seals for the reverse summoning technique. Pig, dog, bird, monkey, sheep. Call me, Naruto, if you need me. Akeo said at the end. Reverse summoning technique, he said, after which Naruto found himself back on Earth and in the same room in Sakura's family home where he had disappeared 9 to 10 days ago. The door suddenly opened completely and Sakura herself entered the room. She looked at Naruto with a surprised look. Is this some kind of transformation technique? Sakura asked unexpectedly. Naruto looked at the pink-haired girl with confusion. You were practically naked, but after making some seals, you somehow managed to get dressed instantly. No, Naruto answered. It turns out that time passes differently in different worlds. I spent many days in that world, and here. I was gone for just a moment. Then, where did you get these clothes and this sword? Sakura interrupted his thoughts. If I tell you, you won't believe me. Naruto replied. I'm listening, she said, smiling. Then sit down. My story will be long and will take a lot of time. The Biju sat in thought. He looked at the amazing view of the universe, but there was something that only he could see. Namely, the wolf was not looking at the universe itself, but at the thousands of worlds within it, contemplating their histories. Suddenly, the 15-tailed felt someone's presence. The wolf turned and saw the sage of the 6 paths. Okami was not surprised. Hagoromo, old friend, he said, and your student has become stronger than before. We taught him everything. Yes, and soon he will be able to fight Otsutsuki. This time for sure. In the original future, he didn't cope, if my memory serves me right. Asked the wolf. Exactly, said Hagoromo, but I changed the timeline so that now Naruto simply has to win. He will become stronger. However, he will pay a big price for this. Right? Yes. For millions to survive, he will have to. Hagoromo said sadly. No, this will not happen. I will teach him everything I can. I will give him all my power, if necessary. I will make him so strong that he will be able to fight against the entire army of Otsutsuki alone. Hagoromo. Wolf interrupted him. I understand that you have become attached to this boy, but no matter how hard you try, the outcome is the same. For millions to survive, Naruto Uzumaki must die.